Good evening, everybody. This is Encounters, the late night spiritual UFO talk show. I'm CmdrAleon. Welcome to another edition of the number one spiritual UFO talk show on social media. Hello, Jason, Reddick67, Ellie, Al. Let's see who else we got. Jason, Pam Bell, H. Wags, everybody coming in here. Welcome to the show. You're watching the number one spiritual UFO talk show anywhere. And this is a talk show. Unlike other things on TikTok, this is actually a real, honest-to-goodness talk show. And the reason why it is because my radio background for new people is I'm on for 21 years on NPR Pacifica Radio, Ashtar Command radio show for 21 years and going. 2024 is the 21st year of my show. And my history with TikTok is the beginning of 2023 going into 2024. It's good to be here. Hey, Angie. Hello, Lavella. Shauna, thank you for the share. So if you're new here, you're going to be watching a show that's out of this world, and it always is out of this world. A little bit always on the late night. Tonight we got on before 11:30, but after 11. So we still got on before 11:30. And we still did not get on at 11, so it is late night. Mary Sue, welcome to the show. David Kellum, welcome to the show. I think it's WC Tris. AOK. Hey, Scott Hammonds, good to see you, brother. Marinette, peace, love, and light to you. One of my moderators told my moderators, good evening. Kelly Bourne. Jerry, welcome to Encounters. Terry Everman. Steve Gaines, 8. D. Lee. All the people finding the show, welcome to the show. If you've come here for the first time, you're going to be watching one of the best shows on earth, right here on Encounters. Show where we interview people that have been having visitations. We talk about everything from UFO sightings that are happening around the world to encounters, visitations, disclosure. And we do talk about disclosure issues. We get into crop circles, fairies. We get into mermaids. We get into all the things that make a difference. We're not a nuts and bolt UFO talk show. We get into the deep end of the whole thing. Ronnie Goosley, welcome. Reels the Goddess, welcome to the show. Aaron, welcome to Encounters. Chief, a.k.a. Papa Smurf. Good name. Michael, welcome to the show. Liz Sweet. Kelly. I think it's Birch. Spirit, hey, welcome, Spirit. Lizelle, welcome to Encounters. Young Skywalker, good to see you. Kay, way by the way. Andrea, welcome to Encounters. Cliff, a.k.a. the Papa Smurf. Hello, good evening out there, Papa Smurf. Hey, Cliff. Kathy Davenport, Daryl Green. Hey, Spirit. Rex, welcome to Encounters. Guy420. User 866689. Mark Fisher, 350. Melinda, welcome. If I don't get your names right, hey, Lynn Glaffney, good to see you. Winnie, hey, Winnie. David Jones. Gray Sasquatch. Good to have you with us, Gray Sasquatch. Freedom of Speech, good to see you. Denise, hey, welcome, Denise, to Encounters. Mort, welcome to Encounters. David Moreland, welcome to Encounters. We just like to do the beginning of the show, welcoming everybody. Tank1114. Matt Pope, thanks for joining us. David Napier. Dad, hey Dad, what's the mom? Keel Story. Real Pug Trades FX. Ratch Lux Karma. Al something. Hey Cynthia, welcome to the show. Hey Cynthia 593. Good evening to you. Total Wellness with Steve. John O'Brien, welcome to the show. Daria. Kelly Flip Coins. Discerned. Hey, Ja, thank you for the team bracelet. We appreciate it. Dean, welcome. Boss Dad 612. Kathy Davenport, thank you for joining us. Boss Dad, thanks for the likes. Tony, welcome to the show. We're going to get started in just a little bit. I just like to acknowledge people. Conspiracy Eyes. Starseed reporting for duty. Good to have you with us, Conspiracy Eyes. Winnie, thank you for the heart me. Thank you so much. So last night on the show, we showed you the flight tracking radar. It's on my Ashtar Command Spaceship News page on YouTube. I saved it. It took me long enough to find it. Believe me, I spent longer times than you ever thought of to find that tracking radar from 10 years ago when Flight 370, MH370, disappeared. And for months, everybody was saying the first year, it crashed here. The conspiracy theory was it landed in a military base out in the Pacific, all this other garbage. But last night, if you watch my show that's recorded from last night on my YouTube channel, I played the actual flight tracking radar, which shows that the two jet icons that were over the water when Flight 370 went over the Eastern Sea, the China Sea, as soon as it got over the water, there were two icons. They both looked like this. They were like golden yellow looking things. They flipped over to look like a jet. And after the Flight 370 disappeared, what do you think happened? Both of those little round little objects, poof, disappeared. Like that. You have to watch the show. You'll see it. So the cover-up about Flight 370 crashing or disappearing into the ocean, if you ever hear anything this year, because now they're reopening the case, I know the truth. And I know the lies are going to be forthcoming and created by documentaries and more stories and reports, and someone's going to be coming on. All the news media is going to say, hey, they found the wreckage. Oh, yeah, they found the wreckage. Hey, Jim, good to see you. Oh, the commander's fired up tonight again. They found the wreckage. They're going to find nothing. The people on board that flight, over 200 people, whatever amount of people there were, they were all taken into a big, large spaceship. They're all alive. Every one of them. Never crashed. No wreckage anywhere. Of course, they'll create good wreckage. Hey, Johnny, good to see you. Hey, Matt, good to see you. L1NZ1, good to see you. They'll create some fake wreckage just to have closure. These people are smart. If they can't do it again, they'll have to create a fake wreckage scene so that everybody around the world will, if they're gullible enough, might believe it. But the commander knows the truth, and the Encounters knows the truth, and the truth is what I showed you last night. It wasn't doctored. It's not CGI. It's the actual tracking radar from 10 years ago, which I finally found a copy of, that somebody evidently recorded it, and thank God somebody did, or else we'd never know the truth. It took me forever to find it. Hey, Michelle, we're doing great. I am. Thank you for subscribing for the first time. We appreciate it. Become a subscriber like I am. You're going to help raise money for our C5 equipment. We have about, right now, 29 out of, we're actually trying to get up to 100 subscribers. We have 29 subscribers. You can subscribe to my TikTok for a month, 2 months, whatever you wish to do, whatever you can afford. It will raise money for night vision equipment. We have our C5 group in Connecticut, and we wish to raise money, and we'll probably have the money before sometime in the summer if we get enough subscribers. That'll help with the important, projects that we're doing. 2 of our C5 coordinators have C5 night vision 3rd generation equipment that's military grade, and we use that during our C5. And if some of the ships are cloaked, the equipment allows us to see through and actually see spaceships with night vision equipment. So that's important. So if you want to support that, become a subscriber. During the show, I encourage people, if you like the show, if you have TikTok coins, use them wisely, support what I'm doing, and you can do any kind of things. Our goal tonight, we're going to be doing the whale. We have 8 whales. I'm going to pin that right now. A whale diving, it's called. So the whale diving is my TikTok thing right now. Michelle, thank you. And for new people coming in here, in the next 3 to 4 months, and again, I'm totally guessing at this because I have no idea, we're going to be going off planet. You heard it right. We're going to be going off the planet. Not through meditation classes, not through cosmic meditation, physically off planet. And if you don't know what's going on, as you continually watch this show, you're going to learn more and more every week about what's going to be coming down in a very positive, loving way. We talk about Skin Dog SquarePants. I like that name. Skin Dog SquarePants. That's really good. Can't hear you. You should be able to hear me. I got the volume all the way up. Turn your volume up. I've got my headphones on here, my earpods. Let's see. West Cave Dog. I've seen the V-shaped one and pyramid-shaped one up close. Interesting, West Caven. Very interesting. I hope you recorded it. Wes, did you record it? That's the important thought. And sometimes when I've seen stuff, I didn't have the ability to record. I wasn't prepared for it. I feel like it's perfect timing. Thank you, Michelle. Hey, blessings, Paul. So the word contact can never get boring, especially on this show. If you're watching this show and I start talking about the word contact and going to be contacted and going to go off planet, if you think that's a boring topic, then you better wake up, because it's not. And when it happens, we'll let you know. It's going to be beautiful. Hey, Gary, good to have you with us, brother. For all our relatives, hey, for all our relatives, Francine, Bearden, welcome. Welcome, everybody. Finding like-minded people is amazing. It is. It is amazing. And the beautiful thing is, we're going into a world way different than the world we were born into. We're going into a world, folks, do you understand this? We're going into a world way different than the world you were born into. Hey, sprites. You know, we all have parents, biological parents. Some of them have passed on. Others have parents that haven't. You have brothers and sisters and relatives that are grandmothers and grandfathers, cousins and uncles, biologically on Earth, right? Everybody does. That's your biological connection to this planet. But just wonder, just use your imagination for a moment, and to imagine that we're going from a world where we thought nothing like this would ever happen to a world where we're going to completely shift into another spiritual frequency, cosmic frequency, dimensional frequency, where we're going to go to a place where we've only dreamed of ever going in our lives, all of us. It's a collective thing. It's going to happen in waves. It's a collective thing. It will happen in waves. Winnie, thank you. Quasar, good to see you. Welcome. Blue Moon, good to see you. It's going to happen in waves for every single viewer in my audience here around the world, wherever you live, in the Middle East, Africa, Asia, the Netherlands, Scandinavia, Greenland, Central South America, wherever you are, it makes no difference. Everyone on the whole planet's involved in this. I mean, all those people that are at least aware, there's still billions of people that are asleep that have no idea what we're talking about. They're not even here tonight because they don't even know. But you folks here, you know, and you're going to know because you're watching this show. You're going to know what's going to happen because I'm going to tell you. You know, I have no confusion on this. Wake up and be awesome. I like that. That's a good name. Hey, Skin Dog, you're in the UK. Good to have you with us, brother. Say hello to L1NZ1 in Northern Ireland. See, we're all together here, all over the place. Advanced Light Warrior, good to see you. Rachel, good to see you. Tool Shed, welcome to the show here. Wendell Campbell, thanks for joining us. For all our relatives, thanks for the likes. Rachel, USA, welcome. So as I get into this deeper and deeper, because I am always fired up now, we're in springtime. We're in cosmic time now. You know? Oh, you know, we love to welcome everybody here. That's because we're a talk show. We're not here like all these other TikTokers yelling it over each other. I actually interview people. That's what I do on my radio show. Connie Irwin, good evening. Yeah, so I welcome everyone from all over the world. Susan Lamb, 472, welcome to Encounters. There's no ego here. This talk show host who's been on radio for 21 years, I'm still as humble as I was 21 years ago when I first got on radio. No different. Gypsy Tia, hey Gypsy. Good to have you with us, Gypsy. So as we interview people, here's how the show works. We usually try to interview one or maybe two people. I like doing onesies at a time because then I can do a full interview with that one person and pull answers out and ask questions. That's what I do. And then we bring on other guests as we go through the evening. So here's how it works. If you have had encounters, visitations with space people, if you've had any sightings recently that you have documented, if you've had things happen all your life with the ET level, if you've had, seen crop circles, Bigfoot, if you've seen fairies, if you've seen, all these things, relative mermaids or merpeople somehow in your life, these are the kinds of stories you want to hear on regular media. Because regular media doesn't want to talk about this stuff. Nah, they're not going to do it on CNN and NBC and CBS, But we're going to do it live here. We're going to do it on Encounters. Now, to get on Encounters live, you have to have over 200 followers. That's TikTok's rule. If you have 1,000, you can go live on video and go on the screen live with your face and also with audio, just to give you a background. These are the rules of the show. As the host of the show, I make the rules, and I think they're fair. You have to be over 18, no kids on the show, no drinking, no smoking, no vaping, no drugs, none of that stuff. If you're addicted to something or other, then you're not coming on the show. If that's more important than the actual show, then just do your thing. The other thing is we don't talk about the paranormal, meaning there's tons of other shows on TikTok or people that do lives about paranormal stuff. We don't do it here. We're focused on the cosmic, galactic area. Just so you know what you're getting into here. There's plenty of other options out there for the other stuff. So we keep it real, keep it cosmic, keep it galactic, and definitely a show that's out of this world. So welcome, and we hope to do some interviews tonight. We'll see, and when people want to be interviewed. If you, again, like I said, if you have over 200 followers, over 1,000, there's a guest icon at the bottom where it says host, and then there's a little people thing. You press that. But you have to also put a sentence in on the comments here as to what you want to talk about relative to the show. So I need to see your comment and say, Commander, I want to talk about my experience with this or that. This way I know what I'm putting on here and who I'm putting on here. And also, no foul language. I know it's easy to, splurt out something by accident. That's okay. But we don't want any foul language on the show when we bring people on here. We want to keep it as professional, as positive in that way as possible. Just like on my radio show. Want to keep it uplifting and positive. Your stories might be very varied and different. That's one thing. The stories could be different. We just want to have no foul language on the show if you're going to come on here. So that's the rules. You know what they are. And we'll get into things here. We'll get into things. And also, I'll give you my background. For new people, my name is CmdrAleon. I always like to introduce myself to everybody. I don't assume on TikTok that everybody knows who I am coming in here. And I'm also 100% fully awake, and I work with the Ashtar Galactic Command. I've worked with them before there was any internet websites about Ashtar. I've been working with them for a lot of years. Also, my contactee since the 60s. I had positive contact with space people in the late 60s, probably around the late 60s, that area. I work and I do workshops where I take people off planet for that. If you don't know that background, I'll be starting those up this year here in Connecticut in the U.S. And I have them keep a journal of their experiences. They come back and they remember every single thing that happened. I call it a journey to the golden ship, a real ship that exists way beyond this planetary system. The other thing is I'm a C5 coordinator in the United States for the Ashtar Command Contact Project, and we'll get into that a little bit as the weeks get on. We have an event happening, two different events happening. One event happening on April 13th, which we'll get into on a Saturday night at an apple orchard, where a group of us will be meeting and hopefully recording live on Encounters visual ships that will appear hopefully in the sky that night. Please share and like if you're now in here. One of the things I like to do is get everybody active, so you're not just sitting here looking at the screen. We want to get up to 100,000 likes tonight. We're at 13.5, so let's let the liking begin. And please share if you wish to. May the force be with you. You ever go to Roswell, Mexico Festival? No, I've never been there. I've seen documentaries about it. I've never been to that. Jeremy Hughes, good to see you, brother. Welcome back to the show. Brian, welcome to Encounters. Good to have everyone coming in here from all over the world. Nice to see you all here. Charlotte, thank you for the likes. Go, it's the best. Maybe someday we'll get out there. Maybe someday. And we're totally prepared. As you know, I drink apple cider. I can't wait for more stories. Vanessa, I can't wait either. But I'm also very patient. I know there'll be a story coming through here tonight. Charles, welcome to our show. J Cool Cat, that's a good name. Hey, J Cool Cat, welcome to Encounters. Scooby Doo, hey Scooby Doo. Feather, welcome to our show. I have been listening. Oh, good. Glad to have you with us, Rod. It's a pleasure to have you with us on Encounters, the spiritual UFO talk show. Mercury Man, welcome. Quasar63, thank you for the roses. Tonight's gifting, I've actually pinned the whale. It's called the whale diving. There's a whale diving, and I've pinned it as my. You can gift me anything you want through the night, but I have the whale up there now. Last night I did hats. I did the hat one. The other night I did the baseball cap. Tonight's the whale. I love whales. So thank you, Angelica25 for the roses. Well, thank you so much. So I'm going to talk a little bit, and I will take guest requests, but you have to tell me, and thank you, Vanessa, when you want to, be a guest. Then I got these trolls that somehow are coming up on just knock them right down and decline it. I know they're trolls. They just like pop up. I don't know if TikTok is aware of what they're doing, but they're getting through and trying to get on here. They're not going to do it. The commander is too hip for that kind of stuff. Let me see here. Let me just bring this up over here. Let's just bring the light a little bit more closer. There we go. That's better. I will join. And Rod, what would you like to visitor at your house again? No visitors yet. Okay, if Commander Robar shows up, that would be interesting. Hey, sassy little mama. Tippy Toes, good to see you. Karen Koopman, hey, welcome. Susan Thurman, good to have you with us. Milo Khan, welcome, Milo Khan. Charlotte, thanks for the likes. Cookie Sand Matrix, that's a good name. From last night, I was asked to be on. Yeah, that's right. From last night. Let me bring you on here, Rod. Good to see you, man. I'm just like getting centered here. We're going to bring Rod up. I told him to come on tonight, and I'm going to bring him on. And I'm going to get Rod on here. My TikTok's working good. So everyone, welcome Rod to the show. We were just getting off last night, and I think he's got some fascinating things to talk.
Hello.
Good evening, Rod. How are you?
Doing good. I just got done watching the State of the Union and taking notes.
Yeah, I tried to watch it, but I said my space friends told me, and we were all laughing. These Earth-based humans, they're kind of like almost ridiculous. But anyway, it's good to have you on here. And
Yes,
can you tell us where about?
I'm sorry, I
Go
will
ahead.
do a quick introduction. I spent 44 years of my life in Western New York on Lake Erie for the most part, or near it, power plant, on Niagara River, all that. So obviously, tons of UFOs over my lifetime there.
Mm-hmm.
In Kansas, I've been here 23 years this month. And
Wow.
I haven't seen a flying saucer yet.
Wow.
Which, yeah. Uh,
When did everyone welcome Prod to the show? He's going to have some. I've read most of the stuff you sent me. So you've had a lot of stuff happen initially. When did it start happening? The sightings for you?
Oh, let's see. I think probably my first one, I was about 7, 8 years old when my parents all seen them camping up over Twin Lakes at that time in Pennsylvania. And I remember that. Uh, my own personal experience, I was 6 years old. My brother Tommy was 5 years old. We lived in Jamestown, New York, Lucille Ball's hometown, where I was born too.
Oh
We were
wow,
in,
okay.
yeah, we were in a upstairs apartment with my parents, one, two, four children, and me and my brother slept together in a room across the living room from my parents.
Mm.
In the corner of that room, and sometime during the night, for some reason, I saw appear, literally from the corner, three of the short aliens with the rounder heads.
Are you talking
Uh,
about the Zeta? They're actually called Zeta.
are they? Sorry, I didn't know.
Yeah.
I
That
thought.
a lot. I forgot to help you out there. So they're called Zeta Reticuli.
Thank you. And you please anything, interrupt me any second. Tell me everything. Um, they appeared, three of them, and they came across the bedroom floor towards our higher iron bed at the time. You're talking 1960. Oh, geez, one or two.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
there's my age. And so as they approached the bed, the lead one wasn't fast. They just approached, uh, was near the bed, and I was standing on the bed. I leaped his head. I remember to this day, I still get chills. I leaped his head, left the bedroom, ran across the living room. Dad and mom said I cleared 6, 7 foot to the middle of their bed in one leap.
Hmm. Wow.
Terrified. Now, my brother, Tom, that I'm mentioning, he's deceased now for 2 years. Apparently, he was abducted then, and I'll tell you why. And I won't make this a
Okay.
long story. I'm going to try to be short. He was abducted twice after that. Pretty horrendous abductions at that time for him. Once by the
Mm-hmm.
lake, and then once when he moved to Georgia. They followed
Hmm.
him. So, 50 years old, up to my dad's house back in Western New York, visiting with my late wife, who was there at the time, and my family. Tommy's up there, our whole family's there, from Georgia, Florida, everywhere. And
Hmm.
I happened to mention something about, we were talking about UFOs, and because everybody's seen them in my family. Uh,
Wow.
I said, wow, I remember my first one when I was about 5 or 6 in Jamestown. My brother on the other end of the table, having a couple beers, got up in a fury. He
Hmm.
was hot. We never discussed it in our entire lifetime, even after it happened.
Yeah.
He was furious. My ex wife and my friend stopped him from coming around the other end of the table, and he calmed
Wow.
down. He goes, "You left me there." He was he was abducted, and somewhere inside him, he's still terrified.
Still terrified. What year? Can you tell us, Rod, for our audience, what year was the abduction?
That period there was probably 1961. I would
Yeah,
have
that'd
been
be right. Abductions were pretty big, 60s and 70s, and even through the 80s a bit.
from your show last night. Should I call you Commander? Is that okay?
Yeah, Commander is good, or CmdrAleon. That's fine.
Okay. Well, Commander, from your show last night, I was very relieved to hear that the Pleiadians and others are have in last few years cleared out the 60s, 70s, 80s, and 90s bad guys,
Yeah.
leaving us the good guys to come. That made me feel great last night.
Oh, good, good, good. The good guys are here. I'm actually connected telepathically with the Ashtar Command. I've been before the internet ever existed, and
Yes.
I have abilities to do things that some people don't realize. I can actually, when I hear a story, if someone's having some problems with negative ETs, I can send a ship over their location and send Ashtar people incognito, so to speak, to clear them out of that home or whatever and send them out of space back where they came from. I've done this before,
I
so I'm
heard
fully
last night,
activated.
forgot the gal's name that was on. She's a Palladian, or however you pronounce it.
Yeah, Palladian.
Palladian. Well, I've seen two of them. They were beautiful. They were on my bed.
Oh,
A
the
visit,
Palladians.
yes, a visit in my bedroom. You might have heard
When
me.
did What year was the Palladians visiting you? That's interesting. You went from these things with the little guys, which are
Yeah.
the Zeta, to the Pleiadians. How did the Pleiadians get involved? Did they get involved later on
Well,
in your life?
short explanation, my brother Eddie was abducted over in England on a nuclear base. When he first got there, he had to walk the base and back with his wife was there, and he didn't have a
Hmm.
driver's license, 6 miles each way. I'll make this quick, was heading home one night. Now, he was the head of nuclear. He took senators and stuff around the base and gave them tours. He had
Really?
Pentagon clearance. He was on his way home walking, and it took him, 6 miles. He said it was 3 in the morning. He seen a light approaching across the field coming at him slowly down to the ground. He knew kind of instinctively. He looked at a ditch on his right, laid on his back in it. And he said the light came over him, took him. He was being with five beings, one or two being gals up there. He was being
Hmm.
telepathically told to calm down because he said, I'm going to unalive you all.
Hmm.
And he said before he knew it, the calming voice of the one female had pretty much hypnotized him into a calm, relaxed deal.
Wow.
He knew the probes. He remembers them. He said it was worse than any assault you could ever imagine. Now
And
this
the
would have.
pro now were the probes coming from the Zeta?
I'm not sure. Uh, whatever medical things they did to him
Hmm.
uh, were similar to what stories you heard back then. This
Right.
year,
Right.
this would be the year 19, probably around 82.
82. Okay, that's about right. They still were doing abductions then.
When he went to the commander of the base or whatever, he was told, Airman Edward Doak, I will give names. He says, I would keep this to myself unless you want to be put in a room and observed,
Hmm.
possibly for your next few years. So
Hmm.
Eddie never said nothing. But yeah, he went through a lot.
Now Eddie had high security clearance.
Hmm. At that
Wow.
time, he was
Yeah.
beginning. He was beginning his career, but he had clearance, and
Really.
yeah, he spent I think 2 years there. And he ended
Wow.
up on Langley. He went to Okinawa and all over, but finally he ended up on Langley base for like 10 years to end his career. He
Langley and
took
Langley is yeah. What was going on at Langley? Can you tell
he
us?
took me on a tour down there one time for like half a day. Went right through the guard gate, everything he had set up.
Yeah. Hmm.
We got by the Nassau hangar off on what I would say my left. I said, Eddie, why don't we drive down there? He goes,
Wow.
do you want to see
Pico.
vehicles come in a flash and men? He said, Rod, you even get near going down there. And
Yeah.
he's seen some things at Langley. He's seen that one craft that looked like a flying saucer, a V shape. I can't describe it too much. It had a domish on top. Him and
Yeah,
his
like a V shaped. Yeah, the V shaped craft. So was that like a? Did he show you like reversed engineered craft that were using ET technology?
No, he did see this craft. It's our craft. At the time, it was top
Right.
secret.
Top
And
secret.
he and his wife cleaned on base and stuff. Had a good job.
Really?
They were cutting through a hangar, taking a shortcut, and he looked at this sitting there. And he couldn't tell me for years. It was only a couple of years ago he sent me a picture because it's on the internet. He goes,
Okay.
they sat before the man and many men, and they signed their lives away, basically,
Hmm.
non-disclosure, you know. But
They
yeah,
had to sign an agreement. They have to sign an agreement,
they did, and it stuck.
especially when they have high security clearance.
Yeah.
Um, wow. So from the '60s going in towards now,
Hmm.
how much did you learn about? Because he had high security clearance at the time.
Hmm.
So I'm imagining he had the ability to see certain things that were happening with our government, with certain things with extraterrestrial technology. Correct, or am I incorrect about that?
That and also biological stuff. He told me 5 years before he got out after 20 years, he said, Rod, if you knew what was in these bio labs, he said you wouldn't sleep at night.
So
That's what he said.
Did he tell you anything about the biolabs? I'm curious.
He could not, and maybe he would today. He's retired in Florida, doing good with his wife and stuff. He
Oh,
might today.
he's still alive, right?
Yeah, like I said, everything I say tonight, I have witnesses that are still with us to
Hmm.
corroborate it.
Could you like? I'm not. I mean, I'm just throwing this out there.
Mhm.
Could you get him to give you information about what the biolabs are, what they've done in the biolabs? Because I think the public should probably have a need to know what are quietly, secretly what we've done. What do you think the biolabs are? I know you don't know exactly what they are. What do you think's going on there?
Well, I would put him in the same class as, and I hate to say it, COVID, Wuhan and all that. And he
Hmm.
was in those type of labs. And
Interesting.
he was just passing through new people, was on
Right.
assignment, exactly. So
So do you think the biolabs were used to create things that they were testing on the public?
oh, absolutely. Langley, oh, yeah, for sure. I,
So
I, I
so
have no
I
proof
would,
to it.
no, I know that. So I would assume, unless if you can get him to come on here, at least talk about it to you and give you information
Hmm.
that, and again, I don't know this for sure,
Hmm.
but if they are bioengineering or use in biolabs creating things to test on the public to see what it'll do to the public and to animal life and everything, do
Hmm.
you think, again, I know you don't know this for sure, but do you think that that's what's going on, in your humble opinion?
Not just there, but pretty much around the globe in labs.
Mm-hmm.
I've done a lot of research, so. And
Mm.
when I watched the State of the Union, I took notes for 2 hours, starting and end. It's my notes. I'm not going to
Mm-hmm.
put it on a live. I'm not
Right,
political,
right,
but
right.
I reference everything for the future. And
Wow.
oh yeah,
No, I'm interested. So if you get to talk to him, and you're gonna, as a friend of the show now, you're welcome
oh
to
yeah,
get information from him. If we can get information that he knows that is
sure,
very accurate information, we
sure,
can. This I'm always about busting the matrix and disclosure on this show. So if you get
sure.
real information, I
Mhm.
will let you come on here and disclose what they're doing
Awesome.
since the 1960s in these experimental labs,
And
what
I
they're
will
shooting
ask
out
him
there.
about that, and I'll ask him about what else he might have seen on base that he
Yeah,
can disclose. He's still under, even though he's retired, he's still
right.
under
Yeah.
non-disclosure in a lot of things.
And anything he knows that without you knowing his name, if we just get information of what he knows about reverse engineered technology from the extraterrestrial craft that we shot down with scalar
I
technology,
will.
yeah,
Yep.
yeah, I'm throwing that out to you because this show is really also about disclosure. We've had people come on here with top security clearance and told us things. Just recently,
Hmm.
we had a woman on. She started telling us stuff. So there are people that have relatives and friends that are in the government in different
Sure.
situations that do have top security clearance. And they're
Yes.
willing to come forward with information. I think that's the way it should be.
I agree 100%. And if you want to hear UFO encounters, I can give you
Yeah, I do.
a quick one. My son was 14 years old. We were squirrel hunting all day back in Western New York up on Dad's Hill, which is the highest point of Western New York. All
Mm-hmm.
transmission lines are up there, everything. I can see Lake
Mm.
Erie from that hill 40 miles away. Uh, we squirrel hunted and we watched planes, I would imagine, from Niagara Air Force Base crisscross the sky in grid patterns all day, north, south,
Wow.
east, west, about five or
Wow.
six of them. And I'm saying all day from like 3 o'clock until we quit hunting. We left
Mm-hmm.
Dad's driveway about 8 p.m. dark, Septemberish. He goes, Dad, what's that? Across the field was my friend's cattle ranch, 40 head of cattle. He looked up,
Mm-hmm.
I looked up, and there was two space shuttle shaped side views not that
Hmm.
far off the field. In the front, I could see the glowing green lights. In the back, when I could, in the front, I swear to this day, I seen three figures. A back away from the windows,
And
looking.
what did the figures look like, by the way, for our viewers
The
who are
tall
watching
grays.
this?
I would say
They
tall
were
grays.
tall
Yep.
Zeta. Well, there's actually yeah,
Zeta.
there's Zeta.
I should learn
Zeta.
the terminology, shouldn't I?
It's okay. I'm always not here to help you. So the Zeta, just let people know, there's Zeta that are tall, and there's Zeta that are short, and they're
Exactly.
all different. The Zeta are all different from each other, and some of them, they just are all different.
Well, we're all different, and we're the same.
Yeah,
We're going
yeah, we
back
are.
there. I agree
We're
with you
all,
last night.
yeah.
So
Uh,
anyhow,
t-
I'll make this as quick as possible. I seen a
oh, take your
small.
time.
Had I had a cell phone in those years, and see, he was 14. I tried to guess his age. I made a note. Uh, again, let's see, Adam, 14. He's still alive. He's still kicking, my boy. Early 90s, best I can tell you.
Yeah.
Probably 92 or so.
Hmm.
Oh, we came out, we seen that. I turned right, went down the blacktop because they started gravitating to my right. Make it
Yeah.
easy. I went out on the 2 lane. This is up on top of Hill Farm Country.
Hmm.
Blacktop, down through a valley, gully, come up the other side. The sky was a swarm. I never knew what a
Hmm.
swarm was until recently when I seen one. There
Wow.
was probably 200 plus minus dots above my head, zipping every direction, east,
Yeah.
west, north, south, arcing away, climbing up, down, doing Z's. As I observed
Wow.
that, on the right hand side of the car, which I had shut off, I'm standing in the road. My 14-year-old son's going, a saucer about 50 foot long, because the trees were 50 foot where it came up. I hunted that area. I knew it. About 100 yards across the field and the house that was just ahead of that. That saucer sat there. Oh, I don't know, 3 to 5 minutes. My son's in the car with his teeth chattering. He was scared. He's on
Oh
his
my God.
knees, look facing the back of the Escort I was in, looking out the passenger window, and he goes, "Dad." I go, "What?" He goes, he goes, "Come in." I said, "No, I've waited all my life to see this show." And he goes, "Well, if they abduct us," and I go, "What, anal pro?" I'm sorry, He goes, "Yeah, don't smile." But he was chattering as if he was frozen in the cold.
Yeah.
So now I'm going to continue. You won't believe some of it, maybe, but maybe you will. I went back to the house, got Dad. And it's a half-mile driveway, and I was a mile away. He lived way back in an A-frame in the woods. We had binoculars, took him out, and for the next 2 hours that evening, Dad, myself, and Adam observed UFO activity everywhere we drove on top of that hill.
Wow.
We watched three of them like candle lights on a power line a mile up a hill from us glowing. I said, "Dad, what are those?" "Well, I don't know." He never admitted to anything always. I go, "Well, now they're glowing bright." They were draining power lines. And I know it's a fact because I had friends that worked Niagara Power Plant. They
Wow.
told me that when those UFOs on Dad's Hill or anywhere start draining power, they kick on the emergency generators. What ticks off people at Niagara Falls or Niagara Power Plant on the river, Niagara, before the falls, is they can't charge anybody for it.
Wow. Yeah, that's right. It's true. I've never been up there, but you're right.
So I seen that night with Dad and them, and then we parked. Oh, geez, by a farm. I won't get into it. There's a long row of pines stretching a couple hundred yards on a field. None of them are
Yeah.
taller than 40 foot. And we're sitting there in a truck, and Adam's in the outside passenger Dad, or middle. And he goes, "Dad, look."
Yeah.
I turned and looked to the right. I seen a triangle, green. I'm just going to try again. I think red, blue, and green nose, something like that. Had to be at least, 300 yards
Wow.
wide, 40 or
That's
50 foot tall. As
wow.
I looked and Dad looked, the rear red blinked out and it became green and blue.
Oh wow.
Within a couple seconds, the
Hmm.
green or the blue was gone.
Hmm.
And then within a couple seconds, the green was gone. Nor we never heard him come in. We sat there 20 minutes before Adam ever seen it.
Right.
Never
Yeah.
heard it leave. I don't think it did. I think it cloaked. But that was
Yeah.
a big one compared to the 50 footer I saw.
Right. And they were silent. Were they actually silent, Rod?
Oh,
The UFOs?
absolutely dead silent, all of them.
Wow.
And I seen a third one, but I think that's enough for that story. I can get deeply into it, but you're, you have a show going.
No, we do have a show, but you know what? The one thing I think people love is I give people a chance to tell their stories, and right now my audience is loving your story. And
Are they?
you know, oh yeah, are you kidding me? Pete, let me ask everyone out here: does everybody love Rod's stories? I hear a resounding yes.
I like
Everyone
to
love
call them
Rod.
green.
Rod's got yes.
Yes, thank you, Tiffany Leftwich. Thank you.
We have no commercials here, so we don't have to go to a
Angelica,
commercial
thanks.
break. You know,
Look at all the people who like my story.
they
It's
love your
true,
story,
everyone.
man.
Look, I can back this up with my son who's still alive.
Yeah,
He don't talk about it much over the years, and he kind of just didn't after that. He was 14,
yeah,
scared the crap out of him. I didn't mean to use
yeah.
that word.
That's all right. That's light compared to
Wow,
some of the
look at
language.
everyone. Thank you. Thank
They
you very
love your
much.
story. I want to hear some more. I think the host of the show says, yeah, share some more about this stuff because this is the kinds of things we do. We really give people a chance to share their UFO stories and encounters, and I think it's important. We all learn from other people. I think it's
Yes.
great because the stories other people can relate to your stories because maybe they had something happen to them like that, or even if they didn't. I find it
Right.
very beautiful to have people share a
Well,
part of themselves, you know?
and what I'd like to say is like your show last night. I'm more here tonight after your show last night, happily to say that I know they're there. I've seen them since, I was 7 on. This
Hmm.
isn't the only UFO story I have, by the way. There's quite a few from that hill.
Well, we want to
Uh,
hear some more. Skip Grace, one of my friends here, she wants to hear about your work, and we definitely want to hear about
my
your
work,
stories because, yeah, Grace, what do you mean by his work? I'm not even sure what that means, but
that's okay.
yeah, yeah,
I'm welcome all questions, just like you.
So if you have a
What
question
I
for
do like,
Rod, definitely throw it out there. We'll get to it.
if you, my work right now is I'm retired. I retired when I was 50. My wife became a registered nurse. She was 12 years younger than me. She worked 3.5 years. I worked construction at that time. And she made me retire at 50 because she had tons of time off working for the state. She worked at a
Yeah.
mental facility for uh, criminally, well, I like to say insane, but she actually
Uh,
evaluated to see if they went to minimum or maximum.
yeah.
I got carried
Uh,
away. She passed on 6 years ago. But at age 50, I couldn't work. She said, I'll just call and have you fired because we took 3, 4 week vacations all the time, Vegas, whatever.
yeah.
Prior to that in Western New York, I spent 14 years running a very large insurance agency for my friend with
Hmm.
thousands of clients, commercial. But I came to Kansas and became, don't be insulted, dirt clod rod.
Hmm.
I lay back. Okay, enough
One
of
of
work.
Yeah, now one of my friends, Grace, says she wants to hear, things you invest in the investigations you did in terms of your experiences. Did you do any like investigations on any of these things? Did you like look into any of these things more than other things? Since you had a lot of UFO experiences actually since the '60s, so
Yes.
what any that come more to your vision that you think you would have investigated more that really hit you hard in terms of wow, I need to look into this one specific one from this year or whatever it was. That what stands out for you?
Recent investigation or investigation at the time?
It could be recent or any investigation.
At the
We'll just give
time,
it up to
yes.
you.
At the time, UFOs or flying phenomena, whatever, at that area in Lake Erie and the hills, that's
Yeah.
famous. Maybe you
Hmm.
never heard of it, but it's countrywide famous. You can go up there most any time and find a
Yeah.
UFO somewhere.
Wow.
So yes, I investigated. I had a person that owned Angel Wings down on, well, I'll say Route 16. He was a good
Hmm.
friend, a client of mine.
Hmm.
He did investigations on UFOs up on the hill, and he took
Really?
people up and guided them. In fact, he's the one who was telling me about a couple friends of his at Niagara uh, power plant. I had one person I knew. So he's
Hmm.
one that I investigated with, and he had some great stories. You couldn't tell him anything hardly about a UFO he hadn't seen. So yeah, he
Hmm.
took people around. Excuse my voice. And don't be alarmed. 3 years ago, I was diagnosed with vocal cord cancer. I had
Oh my
29
gosh.
treatments, and come June, it'll be 3 years. Now, it don't bother me. Doctor said maybe
Okay.
I'll see you. You're 5%. I'll probably never see. He said, 100
Oh,
people,
that's
20.
good.
He says, I won't expect you back.
That's good. I'm
So,
glad you're okay. You know.
mhm. Hey, I'm enjoying life at 68.
Yeah, you're a young guy. That nothing to worry about. So Jerry here from the commander. So yes, so you had these investigations. So if people are up in that area of New York, where part of New York is this, where these sightings are pretty prevalent?
If everybody knows where Buffalo, New York is, I lived from the age of fourth grade until I graduated and was 19. We moved from Lakeview, right on the lake,
Yeah.
15 miles south of Buffalo.
Okay.
To get to Canada was only about 18 miles across the lake.
Okay. So that's
Very
kind of
close.
like, and that's a UFO hotspot, I would
Oh,
assume, correct?
absolutely.
Okay, folks,
Absolutely.
you heard it first right here in Encounters. UFO hotspot just south of Buffalo, New York. Everyone's going to get in
I've
their
actually
cars from all over the place going up there now.
well, I've actually considered going back and doing tours myself. I've kicked
Yeah.
my butt all these years. I didn't have a cell phone. Hell, my stories be known around the world over many times since then. If I'd
Yeah.
been able to record that swarm and the saucers and yeah,
Yeah.
and they take their time. They don't hide up there. They own that. And
Well,
obviously,
do
the
you think that
military.
do you think there's I know in the Adirondacks there's definitely
Uh-huh.
bases in the mountain that when I say
Yep.
bases, folks, there are actually bases, extraterrestrial bases in the mountains in the Adirondack. I don't know
Yes.
exactly where they are, but
Hmm.
I'm pretty darn certain. One year, I kept focusing on video footage that was being sent to me from Utica, New York, in that area about I'd say 4 or 5 years ago, and I
Huh.
said, "There's something going on up there." And then I tuned into that area. There's definitely entrances into inner bases, extraterrestrial bases that exist in the remote areas
Uh,
of the Adirondacks. Now, people might not know this, but the commander knows this because the commander focuses on an area, and then I tune into that area of the energy.
yes.
Even though I've been to the Adirondacks when I was a kid, but there definitely is, I think, one or two bases. There's a cosmic portal in that
Mm,
area of the Adirondacks, and somewhere in the Adirondacks, the ships are coming in and out. And there's also in
mm.
the mountains, there's some bases in the inner earth within the Adirondacks, just to let people know.
Wow. And it's
Yeah,
amazing how experiences interconnect because at age 16, I was in the Boy Scouts and we climbed the highest mountain, Mount Marcy.
yeah.
It was about 20 some miles in hiking. And then Colden and Phelps, we climbed those three mountains. So
Wow.
I've been in the mountains. I could see clear to Virginia the one day it said.
Well, and when you're in the mountains, did you feel any energy like there were, like when I always interested to know, I always go by energy feelings. For me, it's what I feel, not what I think. So when you're
Mm-hmm.
up in the mountains, did you ever feel like there were like otherworldly beings watching you or something was going on or energies were different?
I would have to say, being at 16, I don't remember. I
Okay.
was so thrilled to be up on the mountains, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, I wouldn't
Mm-hmm.
say what I do feel energy on, and I won't get into this, but I've had many hauntings, haunted houses spiritually since I was 2 or 3. I can always feel spirits around me.
Okay. And we won't
Always.
get into that, but then we'll leave it at
Yeah,
that
that's
just
why I
because
do my cemetery things. But yeah, I don't want to get into it.
no, we won't get into
No.
that. Just it's strictly UFOs. But there you go. And I know Grace used to be into that. I won't get into it, but she's got a background in that too. But she's
Hmm.
also she's into the C5 and the contact with the space people, and so that
Hmm.
she got a confirmation of an answer that she was, I think, looking for. So there you go, Grace.
I see.
But
Hi, Grace.
so a lot. It's interesting. I've met a lot of people that have
Advanced
had.
Light Warrior. Later, learned about the mountain bases a long time ago here also. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, it's
Just reading.
okay. You're not interrupting me. It's this is a very free flowing show. So yeah, it's amazing. We know that in Putnam County, New York State, which is in Westchester County, we had a group of
Hmm.
people, folks, that went out there. This was years ago. We had 20 people. 20 people. Would you believe this? How many cars did we have? We went out to Putnam, New York, Putnam County. In
Been
Putnam
there.
County, there are stone chambers. They're ancient. There are stone chambers. People never heard about stone chambers. Anybody out there know about stone chambers?
No.
I'm going to tell you a story right now.
Awesome.
We went out. We did some crazy stuff. We went out with some Ashtar Command people and others, and we were looking for these stone chambers. We were looking for two stone chambers specifically that a friend of ours who was involved in UFO areas told us about. She was with us. No, she wasn't with us. She gave us the information near the Taconic State Parkway, which is in New York State. We we pulled our cars into an open area and parked our cars and walked up and down this country street looking for stone chambers. Then we were looking for two stone chambers. We were told in these woods, if we went into these woods, there'd be two separate stone chambers. One that was a positive chamber, and one stone chamber that had crystallized structures on it that were beautiful. And that chamber was a positive chamber. The other one, if it was foggy looking, was not a positive chamber, and they were right next to each other. It's
Hmm.
pretty weird. So if you went in one chamber, you would go into a positive scenario, and the other chamber, no good. So we were looking for these chambers. We actually had a group of our people run across the Taconic Parkway. You wouldn't believe this. Half of our group, and they were climbing up the ridges of the parkway on the hill, climbing up the ridges looking for stone chambers. I couldn't believe it. The other half of
Sure.
us were standing there, and we had some elderly people with us, which you should have never brought the elderly people because they didn't have the ability to do what we all were able to do, right? So we were
Sure.
looking for the stone chambers. Then a car comes up, unmarked car comes up and said, "What are you doing?" I said, "We're looking for stone chambers." He says, "There are no stone chambers here." Now, the person was lying to us because we knew that there were stone chambers. We actually were in some chambers in Putnam County, and we were looking
Yes.
at the markings in the stone chambers. And these stone chambers are thousands upon thousands of years old. And some of these
Wow.
stone chambers were known to have orbs coming out of them. They'd have these brilliant glowing orbs coming out of the chambers. And people
Hmm.
had these chambers in their backyards that were active. And at night, these chambers would be active, and these glowing balls would come out of the chambers, you know?
Yes.
But when we did that, we actually, we actually, we know we were being watched. I mean, we were out in that area for with about 20 people. We came with different cars, and we all followed each other. And then we hit it. We went into some chambers, and then there's a place in Brewster, New York, we went to in Putnam County, where there is Magnetic Mine Road. If you ever go to Magnetic Mine Road, I don't know what it
Heard of
looks
it.
like now.
Hmm.
There's a big reservoir there. We had spaceship sightings there. When I
Wow.
was there, I saw over the reservoir. I saw a golden spaceship hovering over the thing. There was nobody there except for me and a few other people. And
Hmm.
then we had the police officers come by in a car as we were sitting on the hill, looking over the reservoir. I said, "What are you doing?" I said, "We're looking for UFOs." No, they were asking us, "Are you looking for UFOs?" And I said, "Yeah, we're looking for UFOs." And they left us alone. They know that people were up there looking for UFOs. So I just said,
Sure.
"No, we're just out here looking at for UFOs and stuff right now." And they just went back. They went on their way. They were nice. They left us alone, but
Sure.
they were wondering. They
Unless you're
knew.
breaking law or trespassing, or yeah.
Yeah, we weren't doing anything wrong. We're just like I said. No, we're just looking for UFOs.
I need to
Yeah,
ask you,
yeah.
Commander, what did you, how did your physical being feel like being in these chambers, the positive or the not so good one?
Well, we never went into negative chambers. We were trying to
Okay.
find these two chambers that existed, and
Yes.
we couldn't find them. We didn't go into the woods to.
Uh,
We didn't have like we should have had rope. So if we
yes.
did find the chambers back then, this is what people I was thinking. Just to let our audience know, I was thinking we'll find the chambers, the good one. We'll have long rope, like really sturdy rope. We'll have a long rope, and if we go in the chambers holding the rope, the one in the crystal chamber, we'll go into another dimension of Earth or something. But we'll have the rope, and my logical thinking was because I'll have the rope, if I end up in another dimension, I can be pulled back into where I was before with the rope. Now that was my mind. I was thinking, oh yeah, I can just do that.
Oh,
I'll just go in there. They can all
yeah.
pull me back, back in.
Yeah.
Now I don't know if that would be possible, but my head was working like, oh, this is no big deal. I'll just go into the chamber in the crystal chamber. I'll end up in a different dimension or something or another planet, and then they can just pull me right back in.
Huh. That's
And
interesting.
we never found the chamber, so we never got to do that experiment. So, but my
Sure.
head was working. My head, folks, if you think I'm out there, my head was working like that's going to work. I'm going to be able to go through there and then pull myself right back into where I was with everybody else. Now I wasn't
Yeah.
going to be going by myself. There's going to be a few of us going through, but my thinking was, oh, let's just do it. Let's just go in there.
Yeah.
I didn't care. Let's just do it. That's the way my head was thinking back then. And it was like, oh yeah, we'll just do it. you
Wow.
know, we never found it, so we'll never know whether that would have happened or not. But I wanted
But
to share that story. You made me remember it when I'm talking to you.
it's an awesome story. And it also shows that the lengths that we all go to at times to discover.
Yeah, I had no fear. I mean, the group of us, we were like, we didn't care. We were just, the whole group was like, we're going to do this stuff. We don't care. It was just the way we were.
I think it'd be important to stress, like your show from last night, and I'll edify by saying that I'm not afraid of them. Never was, except for when I was 5
Oh,
or 6.
Greg had. Big Kev says, "Do you you wouldn't now? Would I do it now? I would, because now I know more than I did then, but at
Yeah,
least now I'm more educated about it. Before I would do it, I would figure out what is in the chamber. If I found the crystal chamber, we're not going back there. But if I ever
right.
did find it at the time, I would have, and I knew what I knew now. I would have looked at the chamber with a few of the people and said, let's see what's going on here. Let's at least touch the crystal end of the chamber and see what that's like, you know."
hmm And
But
unfortunately,
we never got to do
our
it.
unfortunately our time is limited. You know, like with myself, I do quite a few things right now, and UFOs isn't one of them because I am in Kansas. Now, I did hear an interesting story down by Coffeyville, southeast, or this morning on
Yeah, what's going on
TikTok.
there? Yeah, what's going on
Uh,
there?
the person that was talking had 2 years of flying saucers on his out of the way ranch. Uh,
Really?
oh, he contacted police, I guess the feds, even federal agencies, even, and they came
Wow.
out. And what was interesting, they're flying and building a complex around him. They're coming down like drones, flying perfect 90s, and he said they were laying down threads behind them, like a line where you lay out for your building, where you're gonna put your
Right.
foundation. He said he walked, and one of them, because he was approaching, one of them threads went across his ankle. I believe it was right one. He said
Yeah.
it burnt like the dickens, like acid.
I think that was the person I had on my show the other night.
Was it?
Yeah, yeah. I had somebody on my show who has been having problems with a lot of these different craft or
Yes. Was it?
something.
Was it 2 years? He said. Because I
Yeah.
caught part of the toe and then I didn't. You know what I'm saying?
I had the
So
person, I
yeah.
have it on recording on my show on my YouTube channel.
Well, wasn't that fascinating? I'm sorry, I thought it was this morning, but I got to bed late, like three
Yeah.
o'clock last
No,
night.
that's okay. No, this person, a matter of fact, it's all stopped. We sent some spaceships over to clear the area of what was going on there. And for a
Really?
day, yep, the other day he told me it stopped
Uh
and
huh.
it just started up again. But
Oh,
I'm gonna see what's going on. We might have to send a whole lot of spaceships over there to
I'm
clear them out. I'm talking about ships of light, Ashtar Command ships. This is what I
right,
do.
right.
We only sent one ship over there to observe for the next few days what's going on, but we might have to
Mhm.
go in there and clean out house, so to
Well,
speak.
that makes him happy, I'm sure.
Well,
Uh,
they came back, so we evidently are observing, but we haven't done really
mhm.
anything. I think they got kind of scared of the command ship, but now they're
Yes.
coming back because the command ship hasn't done anything yet. But I think we're going to have
Mhm.
to blast them out. And then when I say blast them, that we don't, they're not using weapons. The Astro Command, they will actually, with the frequency of light, they will leave because they can't handle it.
Now, I had a good question today. I was thinking about: are they unalived? Are they transported? Are they contained? What happens to these?
You
Does
mean which ones? The ones that are doing what they're doing?
yes.
Their intelligence is, they are an intelligence that could be physically on a larger ship, and these could be unmanned craft that I think they're mostly unmanned that are being sent from a
Mm,
larger craft, causing kind of a havoc situation. And so I think that's what's going on. But we're observing right now. We have one craft that's observing, a large cloaked ship that's observing that can't be touched by these other craft,
hmm
and but they're these other craft or intelligences are watching to see what the Ashtar Command is going to do. And
I
right now,
understand.
I've guided them to observe to see what the other group is going to do.
hmm
And so right now, I'm in the observant mode. And
hmm
if things get a little bit more crazy, then I'm going to ask the Ashtar Command to put a vibrational pattern up that's going to force these other craft out of the area of that area where he is. Oklahoma. He's in the Oklahoma Kansas corridor where this is happening,
Yep.
and I think we're going to have to clear them out. I think we're going to
That
have to clear them out.
the Oklahoma border from me is about 2 hours past, which is about 2.5 hours. I'm on the Oklahoma border, south of me.
Hmm. Hmm.
So yeah, and I had no clue, and I'm
Oh,
glad
and
I
you're
met.
and you're in the area where he is, so that's
Yes,
interesting.
yes, isn't it?
That is
No.
interesting. You're in the same area that he's
Yes,
in.
yes. But to be honest, I don't get out and travel like I used to as much. I live pretty much retired on my own here, and
Hmm.
I don't go running around like I used to.
Well,
Um,
you can always run around anytime you feel like running in your own pace. That's all.
I do. I travel north to the ranch up there. My brother-in-law passed away, but my sister-in-law owns it, and that's right on the Nebraska-Kansas
Hmm.
border dirt road. Now there are
Interesting.
sightings up. There are sightings up there. I've heard people. I've been going there 14, 15 years,
Wow.
and I have
Hmm.
heard of sightings in Nebraska, and right there.
Yeah, a
And
lot
that
of
was,
sightings in those areas. Yeah, over the years, there's been a lot of sightings in that whole Midwestern region.
oh yeah, but
Yeah, there
not
are.
for me. Maybe I'm getting a break after all these years.
You're getting a break.
Yeah.
He's getting a break from UFO sightings.
Yes.
Sometimes you do get a break, I think, but they're there. I mean, obviously, if you have time to know where to investigate, you'll actually have that kind of thing occur. We teach people about CE5. We have a large group here in Connecticut that will be getting together in April, and we get together to have contact with extraterrestrial intelligence. We didn't
Hmm.
start it. Dr. Stephen Greer started this years ago, and I interviewed him in 1992,
I've heard
93.
of Stephen
At,
Greer. Yes.
yeah, I interviewed him live on my TV show back in the early 90s when he was in
Nice.
New Hampshire,
Mhm.
and this is before he was well known. And he really spearheaded the whole thing of what CE5 is, and contact with extraterrestrial intelligence. And it's you should get the app if you have the ability. Download the CE5 app,
I will.
and it'll help you. You already know what you're doing, but the app will give you the protocol for peaceful contact with positive intelligences. And I
Mhm.
think because you already got a knowledge of all this stuff since the 60s, it'll be easy for you to take the app and look at it and use the protocol.
Sure. And I compared to you, I'm just a babe in the woods, and your knowledge
Oh,
is
you're,
fantastic.
uh, oh, thank you. I appreciate that. I humbly accept that. But you're not just a babe in the woods. You had some experiences that probably some people would look at you and say, "I've never seen that before." So you have knowledge too. Don't underestimate yourself. You have
Well, I was actually
knowledge.
born Halloween 10/31/55 at 6:20 in the morning, witching hour.
Hmm.
Uh, I won't get into this, but I'm going to mention it. Maybe you read it in my bio. I won't get into it. My baptism was mind blowing at 24
Right.
years of age with my daughter. One out of 1.2 million when I researched it received such a thing. So I was gifted to share that.
Mm.
Uh, UFOs, ghosts, all that. People think I'm just full of it, but I'm not. I've
No,
experienced
those
a
people, you know
lot.
what? Those people are just asleep. They're sleeping, walking around. They're like I call them the sheep. They're walking around. They've been totally asleep for so many years. You, on the other hand, are awake. You are totally awake. You are having experiences, maybe taking a break from them, but you will have experiences again because that's just the nature of who you are. You're not one to sit around and say, "Well, let's just have a boring day and look at the sky." Let's just look at the sky and see absolutely nothing. This is getting boring. I want to see something. So you actually will have more sightings. I'm pretty sure.
Well, honestly,
There's
I've
no way you can.
I've been feeling like possibly this year all this could happen, and I've been feeling for last 6 months or so a
Yeah.
strong feeling that's going to
Thank you,
happen.
Susan.
Strong
You're right
feeling.
on the money. Your
Tell me.
feelings are right on. Everybody in this audience, most of my viewers around the
Yes.
world, when I ask them, "Do you have a feeling something major is going to happen?" Everybody's feeling it. There's not
My
one
good.
person I know that's not feeling it. So you're right. You're right in the right show with a lot of people that are feeling what's happening.
And I was
You're in,
guided
you're in the
here.
right place.
It was a
Yeah,
mistake. It was guided here, right? My
yeah,
my
you are
friend
guided
next
here.
door, my age, Eric, he was over and we were talking about your show today. I was telling him all
Yeah,
about you. Nothing phased him. He is like me. He's been studying. He knows, and he's open minded. He's
yeah.
kind of happy that it could occur very shortly.
Oh
And
yeah, things are. We talked about the timeline. People who are watching this, and I said this a while ago that the timeline has sped up. Direct intergalactic contact, and I'll share this with you, Rod, is that by 2027 there will be major contact on the planet. That's not very far from now. We're in 2024.
yeah.
Not very far at all. Time, on Earth, time is going very quickly now for a reason. So the
Hmm.
timeline is so totally like sped up. And I think most people, I ask people in the audience now, do you feel right now, if I asked 176 people, do you think or feel, not think, do you feel something is going to happen pretty soon? And I guarantee you, 99% of them will say yes, unless they're asleep.
Well, I probably put him to sleep.
And right now, my response is yes, absolutely.
Hmm.
I ask them, so if the majority of the consciousness says yes, something's going to happen. You know
Exactly.
something's going to happen.
Well, that's spiritual. That's this way. It's everything. Uh,
Yeah,
yeah, it's
yeah.
awesome.
My audience is pretty right on. You're part of my audience, so you're right on. And I'm glad you were guided here, because that's what happens. People are being guided here from all over the place, because the stuff we talk about here, the stuff
Yes.
I know, the stuff we're sharing, is very much honest and out there. It's very real.
Hmm.
We have more information than most of what you're going to get at the Pentagon is nothing. I have more information than the Pentagon has, because I get my information directly from off planet. I also am fully activated, so I know things that are going to happen, and I share it with people on here. I
Well,
know it's going to happen.
yours is coming from a much higher authority. Your information than the
Oh, thank
Pentagon,
you.
probably.
Thank you. See, if anyone in the Pentagon is listening, you just heard Rod said, my information comes from a much higher authority than yours.
It does.
And I feel very humble, because the Pentagon people, watch out. The commander's here. Watch out, Pentagon.
Uh-huh. Exactly. Yeah, they've kept us in the dark and they're still trying it, but it's all blowing up in their faces now. You
Yeah,
know.
Michelle says she's laughing. She says they're probably listening. I think the Pentagon people can listen, who have high top security clearance, can listen to the show and learn something. So I want to
Yeah.
say hello to the Pentagon. I hope you're listening. Maybe you can learn something.
They know more about me than I know about myself.
Yeah, yeah. Well,
Yeah.
we know
I
more
don't.
about you now that you've been on my show. Our listeners are loving it, and we know a lot more about your background, your stories.
Okay.
That's the most important. That's what disclosure is. When you come on a show like this, Rod, and share your
Hmm.
story, this is what we call disclosure. If
Yeah.
when everybody talks about being visited, that's disclosure.
Sure.
You can't. Nothing can beat that. We don't need
Sure.
the Pentagon to tell us when there's going to be disclosure. My audience is disclosure. I bet
That
99% of people listening have had stories to tell,
you just did
experiences.
two polls tonight, and both of them were yes, and and they like my stories.
They love your
Yeah,
stories. You
that's
know,
good. I
What's
will.
not to love?
I do have my own live. You know that. And
Yes, I do.
somebody asked me about my baptism. I will reply right now. I don't. This isn't spiritual. This isn't on my bio. I have two relatively 10-plus minute clips. One
Hmm.
starts out the whole story of my baptism, and then in the middle it switches for when I was day or so later I was healing, etc., like the apostles did plus.
Right.
And there's another 10 minutes of that or more. So on my bio, you can listen to the whole story.
Yeah. Interesting. Well, I appreciate it, Rod. Everyone,
Yes.
give Rod a round of applause for being a guest on our show. And if anything happens out there that is related to encounters or UFOs, you know where to come, and you can come on here anytime. We'd love to have you on here on Encounters.
Absolutely. Yeah, I absolutely will. Somebody just said I was amazing. Well, I'm just an old duffer sitting around my house telling stories.
I wouldn't say that, but your stories are good.
Okay. Well, Commander, thank you very much. I'm going to end the live if I can do it, and I may stick around, but thank you.
Oh, stick around. You don't have to go anywhere, man. You're part of the TV tribe here of Encounters, so we thank you. Stick
Okay.
around. All right.
Okay. All
All right.
right.
That was Rod out there in Kansas. You know, what a great interview. Good to have him with us. And you can be on the show too. So the parameter of the show is, and he did great, is that you have to be over 18, no foul language, no smoking, drinking, getting drunk, vaporing, or whatever you call it on the show. Um, you have to be, again, over 18, no paranormal stories. There's other TikToks for that. This is strictly focused on the cosmic, galactic UFO visitations, crop circles, fairies, mermaids, Bigfoots. We deal with all that stuff because it's all real. That's the beauty of the show, that, I can tell you it's all real, and there's a place for people to come here and share. Rod, again, thanks for being on the show. I've had heavenly encounters, but no UFOs. Interesting. When you say heavenly encounters, Michelle, what do you mean by heavenly encounters? You want to explain? I might just put you on the show. Are you talking about with angels? When you say heavenly encounters, can you tell me a little bit more? I'm interested. Heavenly encounters. I want to know what that is. I like the fact that you used the word heavenly. Are you talking about angels or space beings? I was pronounced at 7 from a house fire. Oh, wow. You were pronounced dead at age 7 from a house fire. Okay. And what happened? Did you go into another? Tell us a little bit about what happened. I think I'm going to bring you on here. Yeah, I'm out. You're all bugging now. Wes Caven, take care. Have a good night. I think a near-death experience. I think I'd like to hear about that. Michelle, we're going to bring you up here if we can, and you can come on audio. Michelle is going to be our next guest. I find that intriguing, of the NDE thing. I want to know what her experience was. We'll see if she comes up. We'll see if she comes up to share. And Michelle, you see an invite, press the invite button so I can bring you up here on audio. And either she'll be able to come up or she won't. We don't know what's happening here. I sent the invite out to her. Again, if you want to be a guest on the show, you need to just press the little guest icon. There is a little people icon on the TikTok here on the screen. If you have the over 200 plus followers or over 1,000, tell me what you want to talk about related to the subject, and we'll definitely be on here so people can hear your story. Rod, thank you for the roses. Thank you. Thank you very much. And Karen Pratt, 805, I am interested in your comment. They're always around us. Karen has 215 followers. Karen, can you expand on they're always around us? I do read comments, folks. I don't know. It's my screen. I can't figure out why that's happening, but I'm going to leave it alone for now until I technically figure out how to. I don't know if there's like a thing to lighten up the TikTok screen on TikTok. I haven't figured that out yet. So I don't know, Dolphin. Once in a while, my TikTok goes like that. But as long as I'm still here, you can still see me. That's good. I am physically here. And it's a beautiful night. It's really beautiful here. You know, today is now, it's actually Friday morning on the East Coast at 12:42. I can't believe it. The weekend is almost here, folks. Let's get her some. Yeah. So I think where is she? Is she still here? I would like to hear about her story. You know, the commander wants to hear her story. Let me go backwards. Oh, there she is. Michelle, we're going to bring you up here. Michelle, I'm going to press my guest button. You're going to see something pop up on your screen. I just invited you on. Michelle, if you're there, respond. If you see a box open up, just press the button there. It'll put you on my show. Just press the save button, and you'll be able to come on my show. Unless she's a little bit shy, maybe. She might be. She might be shy. She has enough to come on here. I don't know if she realizes how to do this or not. Yeah, she has 123 followers. I thought she had more than that. Let's see here. No, she has 216 followers, 681 following. So she has enough to come on here. But I'm not sure. She says, I can't. Michelle, why can't you come on? I'll have you on any night you want. You know, if you can't come on tonight, I'll have you on any night you'd like to come on the show. Well, she can't come on tonight, so I'm hoping you'll come on one of the nights on my show, Michelle. You're invited to come on here unconditionally, and we'd love to have you on here. My audience would love to hear your story. I would too. I would definitely like to hear your story. Oh, no, you have actually you have enough followers. That's really weird. I see that you have 365 followers, and the computer is letting me add you as a guest. So I'm going to press my guest button. Tell me if you see anything. I just pressed my guest button. Something should happen on your end on TikTok where you can see something. Maybe it's not working or whatever. I don't know. Okay. And welcome everybody to Encounters. Man, I am so fired up tonight. And I can't believe it's almost 1 in the morning. That's crazy. We're going to go on till I think 1:30. I think we're going to go on to 1:30 tonight. We want to get up to 100,000 likes here. We're at 48.9, almost 50,000. Let's all do it together while I'm looking for more people to interview here. Reddick67, thank you for the flyer. I love interviewing people. As long as you have over 200 followers, you can come on live audio-wise. If you have 1,000 followers, we'd love to have audio and video, so you can do both. And here's what you can talk about. I'm hyped but sleepy too. I got you. I push accept but nothing happens. Oh, that's weird. Let me see here. Well, maybe the TikTok thing is not working right. All right, well, you tried to do it. She's having trouble. She presses the accept button and nothing happens. All right. I don't know why it's not working. Maybe the universe will help out and we'll get it going for you. Doesn't work. Okay, her accept button doesn't work. Oh, well, we'll figure this out. Don't worry. We'll get you on one night. Okay, Michelle. Someone said, go back out of the TikTok. Go out of TikTok and come back into TikTok and we'll try doing it again. It could be a glitch. That's a good idea. Micro Mystic said, maybe you should go out and come back in. So go back out and come back in. I'll see if we can get you on here on the show. And we really want to send our love out to all our viewers all over the world. I always like to send love out to everybody. Positivity is the way. And it's always a good thing, right? We can all use it. So we're going to see what happens here. TikTok hides comments sometimes too. They do. They definitely do that sometimes. And let's see. So, we definitely want to hear about that NDE experience, but until it happens, we're just going to, whoever wants to come on here and you have enough to come on here and share, we'd love to have you come on here. Diane, welcome to the show, Diana. Tenement Mama, that's an interesting name. Good to have you all with us. I'm CmdrAleon, the host of the show. And it's now on the Earth, 12:47 on the East Coast on planet Earth. Whatever planet you're on, welcome. We welcome people from all peaceful planets out there to watch our show. And I mean it. And they probably are. They don't need a TV set. The galactic ships don't need a TV set to watch my show. Karen Pratt says, who else sees beyond the veil? We're going to see if we could, I'm seeing who, let's see here. Let me see this here. My TikTok is a little bit slow tonight. Well, we'll see what's happening. I'm going to try this again. I'm going to see. I think Karen would be an interesting person. As I'm looking here. Let me see if I see her back in. I'm going to go back to Karen. Karen, we're going to invite you. You have 216 followers. I do this, folks. I'm random. I can select somebody here, and they won't even know I'm going to select them. So I just selected Karen Pratt 805 to join us live on the show. I think she has some interesting stories to tell. Karen Pratt, hopefully you can accept my invitation. And we'll have you on the show here. This is Encounters, the late night spiritual UFO talk show, the most #1 popular spiritual UFO talk show on social media. Karen, we know you can do it. Hopefully you have the ability to press the guest button request to accept my live request to have you on the show. That's right. Some nights we can have I think she's going to do it. I think we got Karen on here, folks. Guest number 2. I think we got Anika. Hey, Karen.
Hello. Hi.
Hey, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
You didn't know I was going to do that to you, did you?
No.
This is the beautiful part of the show. Is it's spontaneous. I can select anybody on here I wish to invite, and you never know what's going to happen. So welcome to the show.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for having me.
And whereabouts are you? And can you give us a little bit of background on what you know? I have a feeling you know a few things.
Yeah, I live in the UK. I run a couple of groups on Facebook, mainly on abduction groups.
Okay.
Yeah, so I've had quite a few experiences myself.
Mm-hmm. And can you tell us when that? Yeah, I'm interested because you said you had abducted. We've had people that have been abducted before. When did that start for you? And how did that happen? How did you start having abduction experiences?
I suppose it's always since I've been a kid. Really, I've had experiences what you would class as paranormal, but I didn't kind of understand them at the time when I was younger. Whereas as I've got older, it kind of makes more sense that because I always find there's a fine line between paranormal and aliens.
On UFOs and ETs, yeah, there's a big difference.
Yeah, it's hard to describe, but it's very can't think of the word now.
No, I understand. There's definitely, that's why in this show I don't talk about the paranormal. So if you've had both, we'll just stick to the UFO area.
Yeah.
So tell us on the UFO area, when did you start having the abductions when you were over there in England? Well, you're over in England.
About 3 or 4 years ago now.
3 or 4 years ago.
Yeah.
And how old were you then when you had the abduction experience?
Probably in my mid-30s, I would say.
Mid-30s, okay. Wow. And what do you think precipitated that to occur? Because it's very fascinating. You didn't have any abductions before that, correct?
Correct, yeah. I suppose my first one that I remember was I had this strange, like, orb-like ball that came through the house, and I was standing in the kitchen, and all of a sudden it hit me, like this orb light, and I could feel all my hair standing up on my arms. I felt sick, and then I passed out, and I must have, for me, it felt like only a couple of minutes, but when I came to, it was about 45 minutes later.
Yeah.
My husband said, well, you only passed out for a few minutes. So, but when I looked at the time, it was 45 minutes. So I had like loss of time. But I get a lot of, I don't know if you call them visions, where they communicate to me. So they've shown me things. So I've had a lot of those experiences. I've had marks on my body. I've had missing time. And obviously whenever I see, because I see these sparkles before they appear, it's like a knowing, you know, before they come. And obviously I try to film a lot whenever I can, whenever I see lights or anything that.
So you try to document them, correct?
Yeah. I've got a lot of footage over on my page of a lot my because I've captured quite a few of the aliens. I've got one where he's standing behind me because I saw like a wisp flying outside my window, going back and forth in front of the lamppost. So I decided to film out the window, and then on reviewing my footage, I had it looked like a small grey standing behind me. So I've captured quite a few footages like that.
Oh, those are we call the grey. Those are the Zeta, like I was telling Rod. Those are the Zeta come in different levels of tall and small. You know.
Yeah. Yes, I've got quite a few footage of them around me,
Yeah.
even looking in my window,
Wow. That's crazy.
staring
Yeah.
back at me, which was quite creepy.
Now, when you had the abduction start, I think my viewers are curious, and everyone's abduction stories are different. So, can you tell us what the abduction for you was like?
Um,
What happened?
well, for me, I mean, one of my memories was I was in some sort of craft, but I could see this round, um, like seating area. And the
Hmm.
funny thing is, I could see someone else sitting there, but I could only see the back of them. And it's been like
Hmm.
my mission to try and find who this other person was that was on the craft.
The other
Um,
person, were they human like you, or were they a Zeta?
they were human,
They
from
were
what I could
human.
see. But I only ever saw the back of them. But it's always
Hmm.
kind of got me curious as to who they were, who that person is. And there's been a
Now,
couple of times I've come
when they
close
took
where
you,
people sound like they from when I spoke to them,
hmm
what I've described.
now when you were on the ship with this other person so when you were abducted, what happened? I hear all these different stories. When it's very fascinating. When you were on this craft and there was this other person, what did the Zeta do to you, or if anything, what was going on? Do you
Well, the thing is,
remember?
I remember being held down. I remember screaming, like, but nothing came out of my mouth,
Hmm.
which was pretty terrifying. In all honesty, I still have a bit of trauma from that
Hmm. Hmm.
experience. Um, and I just remember them trying to do stuff to me, but it's very vague, my memory
Yeah,
on it. Because they seem to make you forget most of the time.
and that's what I
And so,
hear. They make you forget. Yeah,
yeah, and sometimes you get like a trigger, something triggers it,
yeah.
and you'll get a flashback memory.
Mhm. I
But I
mean,
think,
did you feel like did you feel like you were being hurt when you were abducted?
no, in all honesty, no. I think it's just the sheer fear of being in that situation or not knowing
Yeah,
what's happening, if
yeah.
that makes any sense.
It makes sense. It makes sense. I've heard so many stories. I knew Bud Hopkins. Bud Hopkins wrote many books on people being abducted, and he was a very beautiful person. I don't know if he's still alive anymore, but I met him many times at UFO conferences I would go to years ago, and he
Yeah.
had people hypnotically regressed to remember their abductions. Um, so I'm very curious. You, in this case, where when you had your abduction, you felt there was you were like put on on the ship on some sort of a thing, and they had you like pressed down on some sort of a metal bed or something or whatever.
Yeah.
Nothing like that happened.
No, not that I can remember, because it's because some of the other experiences I have is like in vision form. So, for
Mm.
example, I was walking down a grass embankment and I saw,
Hmm.
I suppose what you call the Nordics,
Yeah.
the tall ones, and they showed me what looked like a apocalyptic scene. So there was like
Huh.
a lot of high-rise buildings that had all completely not demolished, but they looked like it was in an apocalyptic scene. There's like grass growing inside them,
Really?
and
Okay.
there's like water coming through from the ceiling, coming down, and I
Hmm.
saw people like sleeping in tents in these kind of derelict buildings. It's really odd, and I've
And let me ask you a question about the Nordics. So now I got to backtrack in my consciousness here. So the Nordics, was that in a dream state, or was that did you actually have visitations by the Nordic beings?
see I because I was awake, because I get a lot of these visions.
Hmm. Yeah.
I would say it's like a waking vision
Hmm.
from them. It's probably
Interesting.
the best way to
So
explain it.
so it sounds like they were the Nordics. I've heard of the Nordics. It sounds like they were communicating with you on some level.
I
Do you
think
feel that?
so. And there's other times where it's almost, I don't know it, what they call it when the astral project. It's
Astral project, yes.
where I feel like they took me through space, but yet
Hmm.
I wasn't in a craft, but yet I could breathe. And I was very much aware of this, that I could breathe, but I was in space. And it was, it made no sense at the time. And,
Right.
and they showed me, I'm not sure what the constellation, it's the nebula that looks like an eye.
A nebula that looks like an eye, folks. Help me here. Nebula that looks like an eye. Anybody in the audience know what that is? A nebula that looks like an eye? Anybody? I'm asking the audience if they know the answer to that, because there's so many things out there. Nebula that looks like an eye.
Yeah, and they showed me a
Somebody,
particular, I don't know if it's a planet or a star. I'm not sure.
is it the Sonic is saying, is it the Helix Nebula?
It possibly could be. I can't think of the name of
Okay.
it though, to be fair.
He's mentioning HELIX, Helix Nebula. Cat's eye. Some person said.
Yeah. And there was like, what I could see was either two planets or two stars. There was, and they showed me one in particular, and I still haven't figured out why. But the word Aquafarian came into my head.
Aquafarian, okay.
Yeah, and I don't know whether they mean that's who I used to be. If that was who I was.
Have you tried to decipher what the word Aquafarian means?
No, I can't find much information on it. In all honesty.
Michelle's asking if you think they put a tracking device in you of some sort.
I believe so.
Michelle, good question. So if they did put a tracking device, you would have never known it because you didn't feel anything like that ever happening so far?
No. But when they're around us, you can detect the EMF on you.
Yeah.
And it kind of shows up as like a blue or a green or a pinkish color. And obviously when they're around me, the EMF is a lot stronger, and I can see that on footage because you can use filters to have a look. But I have been a lot more sicker in the last few years since their activities increased around me. I'm
really?
constantly getting sick. Yeah.
So when you have the abductions, you get sick.
Yeah.
That's not good.
No. You know, because I feel like they're friendly, but I'm thinking, well, why are they making me sick?
Let me ask you a question.
And I don't know if it's anything to do with my blood group, because this is another thing that a lot of abductees
the blood?
Yeah, I'm rhesus negative.
Someone's saying I need to send you some help. So if you're new to the show, I work with the Ashtar Command. Have you ever heard of that before?
I have heard of that, yeah.
I'm actually from Mars. I'm living in a human form. I had biological parents, but I came here on purpose, and I've helped many people here. Even though I play the game of the human form, my consciousness is fully activated. So I've helped people. I
kind of relate to that in a way.
Yeah.
I've always felt like I don't belong here, like I'm only here for a reason. Like there's a mission,
There is a mission.
I can't figure out what that mission is. It's always
You will.
It's bugged me since I was a kid.
I'm kind of reading your energy. What I do with people, don't take this in the wrong way. Every time I have guest interviews, I read people's energy and I get more information about their stories and what's going on. When I hear this and you feel like you're getting sicker, I read energy. So with the commander sees and again, I don't know what you've had different contacts. You've had the Zeta and the Nordic type beings. So
between quite a few different ones.
Different ones. And can you tell us more about these different ones? How many different ones have you been in contact with?
Oh my gosh, 1, 2, probably at least 3. But then the amount of crafts that I see on a daily basis, every craft is different. So it's like, and I keep thinking, well, why am I seeing so many different, beings?
You're having you're having interconnections with different non-terrestrial races that are from other planetary worlds. Now, I'm trying to read what they're all trying to. It seems like they're variations of frequency or vibrational patterns of energy that these different ETs are connecting with you with. And do you feel any of them are positive, or what do you feel about what's going on with you?
It's like, you know, when I was mentioning a comment about the veil, it's
Yeah.
like I always see things like in the corner of my eyes. I see these sparkles, I see shadows. There's
Mhm.
always things moving around me.
Yeah.
And I see things that I don't think most humans are meant to see. You know, you see through the veil.
Right. You see from the
And,
veil, yeah.
yeah, and it's weird. I don't know. I just feel like I'm on a different frequency, if that makes any
Well, you
sense. Like
are. You absolutely. It makes on this show. If you're on a different frequency, this show everybody understands it. It makes perfectly good sense,
yeah.
and that's really important. So, what I'd like to do for you is send an Ashtar Command spaceship over your location in England.
Okay. Yeah.
And the people that have watched my show for this past year know when I've done this, I've affected people in a positive way that have had certain things happening, especially the abductees.
Yes.
So I'm going to help you here.
Thank
And
you.
I'm going to send a spaceship cloaked over your area in England. Where in England are you?
I'm in the south in Surrey,
Okay,
in
Surrey.
Farnham.
Okay, I've heard of it. Okay, so we're going to send one of the Ashtar Command ships. I asked one of our command ships to go over to Surrey, England, in the skies above about 20,000 feet above her location. Give me
Yes.
a second. I'm not only a talk show host on a radio station in the United States here, but my show Encounters, but I also have the ability telepathically in my communications off planet. I've done this before. So we're going to send a spaceship about 2 football fields in length over your location.
Okay. We'll see
And
if
we're
I
going
can
to
sense
send,
them.
I'm going to send it right now. Give me a moment. You're watching this live, folks. And if you don't believe I can do this, I will do this. Give me a moment. Hold on a second. I'm doing some adjustments.
No worries.
In about less than 2 minutes, you're going to feel an energy shift. I'm keeping my eyes closed for this moment. They're going to put a tensor beam around your location. You're not going to see it, but you will actually. Wow. I think you had dogs.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. I heard the dogs there. I got my earpods on.
All my
So,
animals are going off.
yes. So now they're sending a tensor beam around. It might affect your dogs. It's a positive tensor beam. What it's going to do
Yes.
is clear out all the energy so you cannot be abducted at all. What's going to do is it will only allow the positive ETs to connect with you. The ones that are trying to abduct you, they won't be able to do it anymore. So give me a minute.
Thank you.
I want you to close your eyes for a moment.
Okay.
And when you close your eyes, you'll be able to feel the energy of the command coming through. I want you to say, I'm a Christed being of light and cannot be touched by any extraterrestrial intelligences. They must respect me.
Okay. I've crossed a beam of light so that no extraterrestrials can visit me. So I forgot the last part.
I'll say it again. I'm a Christed being of light. No extraterrestrial intelligences can interact with me unless they are Christed beings of light.
Okay. I request a beam of light that no extraterrestrials will come and visit me. I keep forgetting that last bit, sorry.
Okay, unless they are Christed beings of light.
Unless they're requested beings of light.
Christed beings of light. Christed, like Christed?
And Christ is being of light.
Christed beings of light. So I'll repeat it again. Don't be nervous. I am a Christed being of light, and no extraterrestrial beings can contact me unless they are Christed beings of light.
I request a beam of light that no extraterrestrials will come and visit me unless they're beings of Christ's light.
That's correct. That's correct. And as you do that, it's like a mantra. As you repeat that to yourself, you will now feel the energy. So I want you to keep your eyes closed. Tell me if you're feeling the energies. This should be like a heat sequencer. It'll be like you feel a warmth in your house right now around you. You feel that?
It's like a tingling.
A tingling sensation, yes. So the ship is almost at its. The ship is above your location and this very high up in the sky above you. A tensor beam is now radiating down to your location. It's clearing out all the energies around you. You will actually tonight when you go to sleep. Wait a minute. We will have 10 Ashtar spiritual beings come down to your location of your home, outside of your home, and also check every level of your home, just as a final check. And they will leave once they're satisfied that there's nothing there. You're going to
Yeah, I'm
be
feeling
okay.
something in my forehead, like like a strange pressure feeling. Is that
Yes,
normal?
yes, yes. I am. I'm working with you directly right now. People are watching my show thinking I'm just a normal, everyday, average human being that's interested in the subject of UFOs and ETs. You're learning something here about me. Like I said, I'm fully activated. I came here on mission to Earth to help humanity. And
Oh,
this
my
is not
lights are
your
flickering.
normal. Yes, they will. Their energy is the energy of the ship is very powerful. It is going to be felt. It's going to affect your electrical circuits.
Yeah, it won't stop flickering.
Okay. We're going to balance the electricity. I'm very amped up right now as I'm helping you. The command, please balance the electricity for her and settle the energies in. The tensor beam is very strong, so it will affect the electrical areas, not only your home. Some of your neighbors might be having their electricity affected by it, but it's okay. It'll settle down in just a moment.
But I often wonder why do they keep visiting me? Why? It's
Well,
always a
because
question.
you have a very strong light in you. You're like when I say light, your vibrational frequency is very high.
Yes.
So you have a very strong light frequency. I'm giving you the answer. You have a beautiful energy about you, and they're attracted to it. That's why they started to do what they did. But
Yeah.
now you're protected. We're going to. I'm being told 2 or 3 of our Ashtar Command personnel from the ship will be with you always. They will be with you when they see something happening. If it does happen, you shouldn't have any problems. They will be
That's
there, and when these other entities or ETs try to interact, they're going to ask them to just stay away and go back where they came from.
yeah.
You're
I
well
need that really.
protected.
I need time to heal at the moment.
Yeah, you're going to have plenty of time now with the command's help. Well, that ship is going to stay there for. Give me a moment. I'm getting 3 days. 3 days and 3 nights. The ship will be there.
Okay.
3 days and 3 nights. And
Thank.
yes, Alicia's right. You can meditate. You meditate, focus on the Christ consciousness, focus and just focus on that you are a Christed being of light because you are. You're in a human shell, but you are a Christed being of light and you will
Yes.
be protected.
Thank you.
Thank you, Michelle. Thank you, Karen.
No, thank you.
And we're trying to get to 100,000 before 1:30. We're going to sign up at 1:30 a.m. in the morning on the East Coast here. Please, if you support what I'm doing and what I just did, show your support by gifting me. You can show by gifting me the whales, whatever kind of gift you want. I ask my audience to do that support. We appreciate the gifts, but we have almost 100, almost 200 people here, usually regularly in the nighttime. And if you have TikTok coins, just go to any TikTok gift on your TikTok coin, vault there and choose a gift you want to send to me, and you can do it. Skizo, Young Sky, thank you. Those gifts really make a difference. It really does. Thank you for the heart puff. Thank you very much, Tiffany. Thank you, Young Sky, for the bolt. So we'll do some gifting now. It takes a lot of energy to do what I just did here, folks. You're not to do what I just did. Maddie, thank you. Cheryl, May, thank you for the hat. We appreciate that so much. I also have the whales. The whale is out there. You'll see it on top of my screen. If you do the whale that goes through the ocean, that's one of my favorite little things. I love whales anyway and dolphins. I do. So we thank you all for gifting. Let's get up to 100,000 likes. We're at 70,000 right now. We want to get to 100,000. We need 30,000 more people to tap. Well, not 30,000 more people. We need people to start tapping. Let's see. Carol Rosen. I heard of Carol Rosen. Humor Bar. Carol Rosen said Brahm said the UFO card is the last card. Oh, I would agree with that 100%. I bet the high vibe ETs will help her heal. Yes, Alicia, they will. You know, one of the things I do on my show, besides interviewing people, when I hear stories like this, I will actively get involved as an Ashtar commander, beyond a talk show host on Earth. I will talk to my people on the ships, and we will help somebody out there if they need help. And Karen, we're here to help you out too. And we want to know, and we want you to, well, you know, we want to welcome you to our show, and also know that you can always come back here, because I know you have a lot of stories to tell, but your stories are now going to be a little bit different. You're going to actually have encounters with star people.
Yes.
A little bit different than what you've been going through.
Yeah.
You'll know when you have the star people encounters, they're going to look human like us, and they'll be very beautiful energies. So that will be starting to happen in the next month or two. You're going to see the shift in who you're in contact with. Your vibrational pattern in your home is going to be lifted up to a higher frequency, where these other beings are not at that frequency. They will no longer be able to see you. You're going to be out of their perimeter of vision, so to speak. So you'll be actually in contact in 2 months with beings that are of a higher spiritual frequency.
That's good, because
yes,
it's making me sick.
Well, we don't want you to be sick anymore. You're going to, in the next few days, you should start feeling better. The sickness that you have is going to be healed. The Astro Command is going to work with you when you're sleeping to take all that sickness, gooey stuff, or whatever it is out, send it back to the Creator.
Yes.
You send it back to the Creator. And then as your body clears up from all that, you'll now start seeing a shift in who you're being in touch with. I would say within the month of April, actually, latter part of this month into April, you're going to see a shift in who you're in contact with. And when you do have that contact, I want you to let us know and share it on the show, some of the beautiful changes that are happening within your home, outside of your home. You are now well protected.
Thank you.
No, definitely. Everything we do is in love for our audience. And when I hear stories like this, like yours, I have to get proactive. And that's what I do here.
Yeah, I've needed the help, really. I've been desperately trying.
All right. And continue. Anything else you want to share? Go ahead. I had to do some energy work to help you. And
when they have been around me, it's like affected my eyes. Like they change shape. Like the pupils of my eyes change shape.
That's interesting.
And I don't know what that's all about, because I've captured it on footage when I was trying to, I was meditating, but I was also trying to communicate with them. Mm-hmm. And I was videoing myself, and I could see my eyes were changing shape. So that got me a little bit puzzled what that's about.
Yeah, I'm not sure what that's about. I'd have to meditate on that overnight and think about it. I'm not sure what that means. Everything else I'm sure about, but that is very interesting.
Yeah.
That is, I don't understand why that would happen.
No, me
honestly,
neither.
No.
It's odd.
No, I appreciate your honesty, and our audience appreciates your honesty in sharing the things you're sharing. I think the fact that you were able to come on here and I picked you out of the blue moon, I think that's very, very interesting.
Yeah, I mean, I've never really, I share some of my stories with people who I know very well, but I've never publicly. I mean, I've been on a podcast before, but I didn't go to this kind of deep level of what I experienced.
And how does it feel? You came on the show, you didn't probably know how it was going to go. I've been a contactee since the 60s. I had direct contact with space people when I was a kid that were wearing light blue space outfits, very loving, very beautiful human people on a spaceship, saucer type ship in the cul-de-sac. I was looking out my bedroom window of my brother's room, and I watched the ship, and they sent me like telepathic messages saying, "You're not from Earth, you're from another world, you're part of our family, so to speak." And that
Yes.
was my first encounter at a young age. So I can completely, as a host, have empathy for your story, because I've actually, in my case, I had the positives, where your case, it's been kind of interesting. Your stories are interesting because you've had different encounters with three different types of beings. But
Yeah.
now you're going to
Probably
see
even
the
more than
difference.
that. That I'm not aware of.
Probably more than that. But now it's going to be more specific as to beings that are of the highest light. And by the way, speaking of the highest light, we're at 77.8. We need to do 100,000. We're close to doing that, almost 80,000. So please tap on the screen, folks. This is a very interactive show. I want to get to 100,000 before 1:30.
And
So let's
I
go ahead.
suppose I'm a form of like empath, because I can sense people's feelings. I've always
Ah,
felt that way. I, if I'm walking down a street or walk into a room, I can
yeah,
sense the energies. So I don't know
yeah.
whether it's that they're attracted to, that I can
Oh, they're
sense.
attracted to you, and you're an empath? Yeah, they're definitely attracted to you.
Yeah,
And also, you have a lot of light energy, even though you're being affected the way you are. You have a
mm,
lot of light energy in you, and therefore, you're going to attract everything around you. And, hey, look, it's better to have light energy than to have dark energy. But you have to have the perimeter of protection when you say, I'm a Christed being of light, and only Christed beings can connect with me from outer space. That
yes,
is putting you're putting a parameter around you. You're saying no one can just come in here and start coming and interacting with me. You either are a Christed being of light or not. So you have to be. My friend Cliff is saying he's an empath too, and he is Papa Smurf. So with all that responsibility as being an empath and having so much light energy in you, all these other energies of other ETs were coming to you, attracted, and probably they were weakening your energy because they were taking it away. Now
yeah,
they're not going to be able to do that anymore. Now you're going to be protected in a bubble of light where nothing like that can actually happen. You see what I mean?
yeah. That's good.
Yeah,
Definitely what I need.
absolutely. Well, now you found a show. We're on usually at 11 o'clock. We started late tonight, but come on here all the time when you want to, when you're not doing your own thing, and
Yeah,
hang out here because it's a beautiful place. And if you ever have any updated things and the changes that I talked about that are going to happen in the next month for you, let us know when those changes happen. Come back on, share some stories.
will do. It's
I know
good to
you're,
meet like-minded people.
yeah, you have like-minded people here. Everybody's very welcoming here on my show, and you're going to find a great group of folks here. So we appreciate it.
Thank you.
Everybody, say thank you for Karen coming on here from England, from the UK, and
Thank
we
you for having
welcome
me.
her for her first time. Thanks for coming on here, Karen. We
Take care
appreciate it.
now.
All right.
Bye.
Cheers. I guess say cheers is what probably you say. And that was Karen over in England, in Surrey, and we're going to help her out. Another great interview, another great guest like Rod. We're going almost at 100,000. We're at 84.8. Please show your support. Become a subscriber to Encounters, my show. Subscriptions are really cheap on TikTok. You can subscribe for a month, 1 month, 2 months, whatever you want to do, or monthly. So become a subscriber right now. You'll see it on the top of the screen. There's a star. Yeah, see where it says 29 of 100, become a subscriber. If the subscriber box pops up, if you can afford to do it, just press it. Choose your subscription to the show. That would be great. If you're a first time subscriber, we'd love to have you. If you want to donate some gifts to us, if you have TikTok coins, you can do it that way. Become a TikTok gifter on Encounters. So we're going to do some final gifting. We're almost at 100,000. We're going to sign off in a few minutes for tonight's show. This show will be available. Are you an astrologer? No, that's one thing I'm not. I'm from Mars. Originally from Mars. I worked the Ashtar Galactic Command. I don't do astrology. Yeah, I'm not an astrologer. How can I block downloads? Cliff, what do you mean? How can you block downloads? Wait a minute. Lynn. Oh, let's see. Lynn's coming up here. Let me see who Lynn is. Oh, wait a minute. I got it. I'm having trouble with the TikTok thing on this thing here. We're going to bring Lynn down. Lynn, come back up in a minute. Lynn, actually, before you have you on, Lynn, let's see here. Lynn, before we have you on, can you tell us what you want to talk about? Lynn just popped up on my guest screen. So I want to know what Lynn and who Lynn is. Make sure Lynn is not a troll. The commander has to be very careful, with trolls and all that stuff. We're at 89.2. Oh, you saw a UFO. Okay, Lynn. We're going to bring you up here as our last guest. Well, you have over 1,000 followers. Lynn, I'm going to invite you on here, and we'd like to hear your story. And Lynn, if you know how to use your camera, good evening, Lynn. How are you?
I'm good.
Good. And you're over 18?
Yes, I'm 23.
Oh, there you go. And can you turn your camera on? Do you know how to do that?
I do, but I rather not.
Okay, we'll respect that. So whereabouts are you? Whereabouts are you on the planet? What country, what state? Where are you located?
Oh, obviously the Earth.
No, I know that. Like what state, or you don't have to go.
Florida. Good old Florida.
Okay, Florida. Okay, so can you tell us a little bit about yourself? When did you start having encounters and so forth?
Well, it's actually funny is that it was on, let me remember the date. It was December the 21st, 2020, and it was the day of the great conjunction between Saturn and Jupiter. So when you go outside, you could clearly see it. You know what I'm talking about during that time? And I wanted to go out. I heard everyone was talking about it, but I was too lazy to go out. So I just stayed in my bedroom, but then I had a strange urge that I needed to go out. And so I just followed my intuition and I went out. And it was when I went out and I was walking around my neighborhood area. So where I live is very exclusive. It's very quiet, especially the city that I was living in. It's a small town.
Okay.
So it's filled with like lands and just trees. So it's a very suburban area where I live. And it was 8:30 p.m. and when I was walking by, it was 45 yards distant away from me. And how I know it was 45 is because I asked my mom where I was standing at till the where I saw it, and she told me it was about 45 yards.
Wow. Okay.
And it was so low ground. When I saw it, so the neighborhood that I live in, our houses, it's like 3, 4, or 5 bedroom houses. So it's pretty good sized houses. But this object or ship or whatever you want to call it, craft, it was bigger than the house that it was on top of the roof, and it had a luminous gold color to it. But I kind of felt like it was kind of like a projection. I don't know how to explain it. And it was very interesting because it was there and it was like still for a few seconds and then it just like disappeared. And that was my first time. And then I've seen it other times. It's weird. It's like there's different crafts to it. So some of them look like because the other 2 times that I saw it after the first one, it looked like a distant reddish orange star. But then I realized it was not a star because it became bigger and bigger, and it was coming closer to the land. And I realized, oh, that's not a star. that's
right. Well, after that happens, it would not be a star.
And
it's getting bigger. Stars don't do that.
That's what I find very strange is it made no noise, nothing.
Yeah. Well, there you go. That's the essence of a real spaceship. The spaceships from off planet don't make a noise. They don't. Well, most parts they don't have a sound.
Perhaps in a way, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, based on what you're telling me about your experience with this.
Right. Because I have heard other people say they hear like kind of like a humming noise. Of course.
Yeah.
I've never really heard the humming noise before very much. Or maybe it's because I was still in a very distant, or maybe their craft's gotten more stealthier. I don't know. But it was interesting. It was so interesting because when I saw some of the crafts that I seen, I got a really good look at it. Because one time, gotta remember the date. I don't remember the date, but I was walking in the daytime, and that's the weird thing is I see weird objects that are like huge during the day with the sky being clear and everything.
Yeah.
And it's like I look up and then they just slowly disappear.
Have you ever recorded any of these objects, Lynn?
I actually did record it. Yeah,
Thank
I have
you, JP.
recorded one of them.
Mm-hmm.
It was during the New Year's Eve. Actually, the funny thing is, there's the people, my neighbor, were throwing firecrackers or fireworks in the air, and we saw this. I was looking up at the fireworks, but then I saw, like, I don't know, it's kind of weird. It's like sometimes I feel like it's like a weird feeling that I need to look up, or like almost like a suggestive thoughts.
Right.
Saying look up, even though I'm
like you know when to look up. Yeah.
And I saw this like a shining gold light, and I was like, oh, it's just a star. Likely, I wanted to believe it was a star, but as soon as I started that in my head, it dropped down. Wow. And it was so huge. And our neighbors they were surprised to see it, and they thought it was just a drone at first until it went even lower and lower, and it was bigger than a drone. They realized it was not a drone.
How close was it to your location when it got to its lowest point? You're watching encounters. Lynn's our guest in Florida. How low did it get to where you were?
To where I was? Which one? My first one or the?
Well, the one you're just talking about is the neighbor's story was getting lower and lower.
It was so our rooftops are like a good at least more than 20 or 30 feet tall, I think. I don't
20,
know.
30 feet tall. Okay, I gotcha.
And
so did you?
It was still a very far distance, but it was still huge because when it was coming down, it was bigger than a plane or a helicopter.
Wow, interesting. Now, have you had any? The encounters of these UFOs are fascinating. Have you had any visitations? Have you during the periods of you seeing these UFOs? What about like visitations?
In a form of deception. I mean, even their crafts is a form of deception.
Well, I mean, like when I say visitations, not a deceptive way, but like, have you had any encounters with non-terrestrial beings directly?
Well, that's what I'm just saying. That's exactly what I just said. They come through a form of deception.
Can you explain what you mean by that?
It's, I don't know. It's something that I've been lying with. Everything that's been going through is because before any of this happened, me seeing these UFOs, I used to have like weird experience when I was younger. Always felt like I was being stared at. It always felt, and then recently as I gotten older, I always used to thought there used to be like, I don't know, some kind of shadow person always be coming in the house or something. I would see
that doesn't sound too good.
Shadow figures.
Figures.
The weird thing is they wear hoods. They wear hoods sometimes.
So you actually have had shadow figures wearing hoods coming in your house.
Yes, but it's a form of deception. I think it aligns with everything. I've had some stuff like my stuff being moved in my house.
Really?
Yes. And I've had dreams where I thought like I was talking to fairies. I mean, I used to believe in fairies and stuff like that.
Okay, so what happened? You got a lot of things going on here. So you used to believe in fairies. You just brought that in there. So what happened to the fairies?
I don't know. Sometimes I would have dreams about like, I know this sounds really silly, and I am sorry if it's kind of weird.
No, nothing on this show is weird. Believe me, you're in a good place.
I don't know. It was it's not just fairies. It's like sometimes I would think there's like ghosty figures in the house and stuff like that.
And
it's
well, that could be
like many of these supernatural creatures, because the thing is, around my house, I would also constantly hear like weird bird noise, like weird bird whistle noise.
Yeah.
And it's not just during the days, it's like during at night. I'm walking at like 10:30 p.m. and I would just start hearing birds like chirping. And it was weird. And the thing is like I would understand if they were like chirping, but every time when I'm walking, it's as if their chirping follows me around.
That's interesting. I don't know how to, I'm trying to absorb the information, and I think everyone watching this is like, wow, you're having some really interesting things happening here.
Like I said, I personally think that everything through ghosts, demons, angels, and
we stay away from the paranormal, but in terms of so you got a lot of you definitely need protection. It seems like you're not protected to me.
No. That's what I'm saying, is that I know I don't need protection. I don't need any of that.
You don't need it.
I'm self-aware of what's going on.
But when you're aware of what's going on, why do you think you don't need protection? If you're aware of what's going on, so are you able to keep things positive? Are you able to keep the light in your vibrational frequencies in your house, in your home, around you? Are you able to, if anything comes in there that you don't want in there, are you able to say you can't come here because I don't want you here?
Oh yes, I mean they come when I ask them to come, or when I'm interested, or they don't. They're like us. They sometimes listen, they sometimes don't. I think that's another thing, is that I think all these supernatural creatures you want to talk about, and I'm not just talking about supernatural stuff throughout our histories, but also the whole alien series. I think it's kind of, they're all aligned together.
Not really, because they're all different. The ET levels are very different from the non-ET levels. So there are frequency differences. So if you're connecting with a space being, they're not going to be operating on the same frequency as somebody who's, I'm not getting into
technologies.
Very different. Very different. You'll find that out. Technology? Well, it depends who they are.
Technology that is so advanced that you could go through star space to other system. Why can they not have a system of where they can control weathers, where they can go through walls, where they can start?
No, they can go. No, they can. ETs, the ETs, the ones that are from higher frequencies, and even some of the other ones can go through walls. That is true. But again, one of the things I teach here is there's a big difference. And I've been a contactee since I was a kid in the 60s, when I had space contact with positive beings that were in spacesuits. So there are very distinct differences between different levels of ET vibrational frequencies versus everything else out there. It's a different vibe, completely different, so that's where it's so important to think that even though you can tell them to come and go as you wish, it leaves you open. If you're empowered to know what to do, that's great. If you know what to do, that's beautiful. But if you're just like, they can come and go as they wish, that can put you in a situation where anything and anyone comes in, and that's where you have to train yourself to know the difference and discipline yourself in a cosmic spiritual way to really train yourself how to say, only those beings of light can interact with me. Now, if you don't care who interacts with you, that's one thing. If you do care, then you want to make sure that they're only of the highest vibrational frequencies, always.
It is how you perceive as things, I suppose. But the thing I'm saying is that why does things have to be separated? Why can't they not be aligned and together?
Well, the only reason they can't be aligned, because the only things that cannot be aligned is a spiritual being of light who's a space being from a star system versus somebody who is not that. There's differences. It's like when you go into an elevator and you're on the first floor of the elevator, you're on the first floor, you see everybody that's on the first floor. as you go up the elevator to like the 100th floor, as an analogy, when you get to the 100th floor, people are different. They're different than the people on the first floor. They're on that 100th floor, and they say, wow, why are these people so different than the people on the first floor? Well, that's because they, and you take it on a cosmic spiritual level, the people on the first floor at one level of vibration, but the people on the 100th floor at a very, very high frequency. There are differences. And that's where you have to learn. It's beautiful. It's beautiful that you feel they're connected, but they're different.
They're different in a way of the basically, it's kind of silly. It's basically what you're trying to say is that people are in the elevator, and then there's this other people that got off the elevator, and then the other people were in the elevator, but they went up. So even if you could look down through it, it's still the people going through it. The only difference is they're going up, meaning they're more advanced. But at the same time, they still are the same as the people down there. They're just going up.
Right, but their consciousness is at a different level than the people on the first level of that elevator. So I'm saying is I don't want to just keep using the elevator because of what I deal with the Ashtar Command on the cosmic level of the Christed beings of light. There's a very big difference between the people in consciousness on the first level, on the first elevator, on the first floor. And I'm just using that as an analogy. We're not going to stay stuck on the elevator, but that the people on the 100th floor are definitely going to be at a very different vibrational frequency is what I'm saying. There's going to be a difference. They're not going to be the same. They're not going to be the same individually. They're not going to be the same consciously. It's going to be very, very different. There's a big difference.
One of the chat persons said they're still in the same building. So technically they still align together.
Well, they're in the same building, but they're at a whole different dimension. So if you go from the first dimension to the 100th dimension, they're not in the same place. The person in the 100th dimension is not the person in the first dimension is. There's a big difference. That's basically what I'm trying to tell you.
Oh, in a way, I guess you could say that, but the thing is, if they're going up, but they're still in the same building, it just means they're leveling up. They're not actually going anywhere different, but just going into a level up version. Unless that's what you're saying is level up is another dimension or something.
Is another dimension. That's what I'm saying. So when you go, let's take away the elevator thing altogether. When a person goes from the planet Earth in this particular dimension and goes to the Earth in the 6th dimension or 7th dimension, it's going to be totally different. The experiences are going to be different. The way a person perceives and acts is going to be different. And even though it's multidimensional, there's multidimensional differences. And I talk about multidimensional all the time, parallel realities, parallel universes. It all exists, but they're all over the place. And they're all going to be different. There are things where human beings, cannot perceive sometimes spiritual beings of light from other planets until they get to that certain frequency. So if you're not that certain frequency, you might have a spiritual being that can come to you, but you have not been able to do that because you're still operating in an Earth-based frequency on this particular planet. So there's going to be different parallels and all kinds of different things. Everything exists. Everything does exist, but it's all going to be on different things. It's like turning a TV channel to the other channel. Now, if you don't turn the channel to channel Z, you don't know what's on channel Z until you get there. But if you're on channel A, you know it's all on channel A. So as you're getting into these different channels, you're now able to perceive different things. You see what I mean?
In a way, I suppose.
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah. Anyway, what I was trying to say with the whole thing I saw UFOs is I personally, in my opinion, I think the whole ghost things and everything and the alien, all those categories they're called are really one entity is what I'm saying.
Yeah, I disagree with that. I disagree with that. They're not the same. If you have a paranormal experience and you have a bunch of ghosts coming at you, it's very different than having contact with spiritual beings from the planet A. Completely different. It's not the same. You think it's the same, but it really is not the same. I come from the experience of a contactee with space people. So I know this from physical contact. It's totally different. It really is.
And who are the physical beings, may I ask?
They're from another planet.
What are the planet called?
Well, the planet, they didn't tell me when I was around before. You're 23. I was born in the late 50s. My contact was in the early 60s. I have complete knowledge of a lot of things that I'm sharing with you right now to try to, and I know you're smart. You have a lot of knowledge in what you're talking about, but there's a big difference between my contact with people that are space beings, that are spiritual, Christed beings of light, versus just having anybody come in that comes from a spiritual realm. It's a big, big difference. Even though you don't see it, there is a difference. It's not the same thing at all. It's absolutely not the same thing. I know you want to believe that, but it's not. It's completely
No, it's not
different.
that I believe that. Everyone has their form opinions and perspectives. I understand that, and I quite
and I respect your perspective, but I'm just saying, I'm just trying to give you a teachable lesson. There's a big difference between the paranormal and the extraterrestrial levels. It's different.
Have you ever wondered that perhaps it was through their technology suits that they're able to make them appear that kind of way? You never know.
Well, it's not technology.
Have you ever wondered if it's through their suits?
It has nothing to do with the technology. It has to do with their level of cosmic spirituality. Nothing to deal with the technology.
Why can it not be through technology? Technology is magic.
No, it's not about magic. It's not even about technology. It's about vibrational patterns and frequencies of a higher level. So when I say Christ consciousness, the beings that I deal with, and many on my show have dealt with, are Christed beings of light. You know what that is? You know what a Christed being of light is?
I have no idea.
Okay, good. Christed beings of light are people that are physical beings that are from other planetary systems way beyond Earth, that are more advanced than us spiritually in cosmic understanding and consciousness. They come from planets that are way beyond Earth. And they come here, and they're coming here now. There's going to be contact in a few years. That's going to be increasing.
And why are they coming here?
I'll tell you why. I'll tell you why they're coming here, because we are connected with them as star family. When I use the word star family, I'm going to define it for you, Lynn. Star family is where we're connected with people from other planetary systems of light. We are always connected with them. We've always been connected with them. Now they're coming back because there's a divine timing for it to occur. When they come, everyone's going to experience it, including you. And when they come, you're going to have a wonderful experience when that time happens. And when that happens, you're going to see things way differently than your perception of reality is right now. Absolutely different.
And why are they really coming here?
Because I'll tell you why. Because we are related to them as star family, meaning that we all come from other planetary worlds. We're having a human experience, but even though we're having that human experience, when we wake up, meaning when our consciousness wakes up to a cosmic consciousness, you will remember why. And you'll look back and say, ask CmdrAleon why they're coming here. Oh, now I know. Because now I woke up and now I know what it is. And you will. You'll eventually wake up to that whole understanding. So I'm glad you're asking these questions. You know, it's great you're on here. You'll have those experiences. You might not be experiencing them now in the way I'm expressing it, but you will have those experiences.
And what will I be experiencing? What will we?
Oh, I have no idea. You'll just have to wait till you have it happen. I can't tell you what the experience will be. You'll have that experience. When you have it, then you tell me what it is.
I've already been having weird experience.
Not weird. I'm talking about specifically experiences with Christed beings of light from other planets. When you have that experience of contact, then you tell me what it is. Specifically that.
Beings, what do they look like?
They look like us.
Exactly like us?
They look like us. They might be different colors. They might be blue. They might be orange. They might be just like our color. They have, beautiful people. They look just beautiful, just like us. They're just beautiful beings of light from other planetary systems.
That's strange. That's interesting. Because weird thing is that when I have strange dreams, and the thing is, these dreams, I sometimes wonder if it's a form of like memories, but they're manipulating it, me thinking it's just dreams.
Well, that could be possible. Whatever you're having happen could be manipulated. That's absolutely true.
Right. Well, the beings that I have, they're a lot like us, exactly. Matter of fact, they are us, but just through a different timeline, is what I was told.
Right. Yeah, you got it. They're a different timeline, you're a different dimension. Either way you put it, semantics. Yeah, they're like us.
But they're
Yeah,
definitely
absolutely.
not orange and green.
Well, I'm just using that as just an example. I didn't say they're orange, but I said you asked me, so they can be different. There are beings that are blue, radiant blue. There are beings that are radiant light, have a radiant, beautiful light. They're all different, but they're all human in their form.
Yeah, well, whenever they have that luminous light, is because they're using their technology. They're actually not really like that.
No, they're not. They're not using their technology. It's the vibration of their body that is bringing that vibration. It has nothing to do with technology at all. That's where you're getting it confused. Technology has nothing to do with the radiance of a person's body. It's the vibrational energy coming out of the body, which is not technology. It has nothing to do with technology.
Well, have you ever heard of the case called the Betty the Betty case, the UFO?
No, I don't know which one that is.
Have you ever heard of the case called Antonios Villas-Boas?
No.
From Brazilian, 1958 or no, 56 or 57. He was abducted by these 5-foot beings, but turned out that these beings are actually can be taller. It's just that depending on their age, their height gets taller and taller. Some of them can go to 9 to 10 feet tall. And
well, I believe that.
He also said something about that they took blood samples and he mated with one of them. So it's very funny and interesting is if he was able to mate them, then that means they have to share a genetic relation to us.
No, if he was abducted, that's not a good thing. I have a very strong teaching about abductions versus contactee. An abduction, I knew people like Bud Hopkins. You ever hear Bud Hopkins?
I think so, maybe. I don't know.
I was friends with Bud Hopkins. I knew him when I used to go to the UFO conferences many years ago. He wrote books and he hypnotized many people that were abducted. So when they take blood samples of somebody, that's called an abduction experience. When you have a contactee and he has a contactee experience, that is a non-evasive difference between an abductee and a contactee. They're totally different. So that story sounds vaguely familiar, but it also is familiar because many abductees have talked about, I've interviewed when I did my TV show, I interviewed people that were abducted by ETs, and it was not a good experience. I've interviewed people that are contactees who've had beautiful experiences. So there's a difference between, it's just like going down the street and you have a person mugging somebody on the street and the other person helping the other person.
Some of them has more bad experience than the others?
Because I can't explain that. I mean, if you're being abducted by ETs, that person has to tell their story, and then I'll have a better idea as to why they were abducted. That's how I learned about their stories. If you don't tell me your story and you say you've been abducted, I don't know what causes the abduction of a person versus somebody who has a beautiful experience. That's hard to explain. There's no way I can explain that.
Right. I do think that in many cases, how do I explain it? I also think that sometimes these beings that abduct or contactee, it really depends on the person too. So if they know that person is good, then they would treat them well. But if they know that person is not good, even though other people think they're good, like I said, it's a form, people are very good at maintaining a good image, but really they're not that great. Believe me.
Well, that could be possible. But again, if a person is having a negative experience with ETs over the last, let's say, during the abduction period through the 60s, 70s, and 80s, when a lot of that was going on, even maybe into the early 90s, versus somebody on the other end of the spectrum who says, oh yeah, I've had beautiful contact with men and women from the planet Zora. And the planet Zora, they took me there. I got to see their planet. They're vegetarians. They have med beds. They're beautiful people. Versus the one who've been abducted and forced to be abducted. Very different. It has nothing to do with anything other than, for whatever reason, some people have those bad experiences. So, with a woman named Lynn, this woman Lynn, I read her story. Bud Hopkins wrote a book about her. She was in New York City. She lived on some high-rise building. The spaceship came above the building, and they beamed her up, and they abducted this woman. And I met her, and she actually wrote a book about her story. I've been around the block a few times here. So this woman, very, very beautiful, intelligent woman, talked about her story, but they took her up and they abducted her. She couldn't do anything. So the difference between being abducted by ETs versus being, invited by beings that are of light is a very different experience. And everyone and I can't read people's experiences until they tell me the story. So when I have you on here, I know a little bit more about you, Lynn, by telling me your story. If a person, Barbara, comes on here and says, I had a beautiful experience and I commander, I was just taken on a ship the other night and they showed me the ship, they showed me their home world. That's a whole different story than the person that's been abducted and had blood taken out of them. It's a whole different situation. You understand?
Oh, I do, but also always remember this. The world is full of deception. Our past and our present is full of deception.
Well, I think the problem is the word deception. You keep using the word deception. The world is not full of deception. There are deceptive people in the world, but the world is not full of deception. If you want to turn the word around, you can say, oh yeah, there are people that are not good. There are people that are deceptive. Yes, but there are people that are beautiful people, very loving people on our planet, just as much as there are people that aren't. It's just, again, the world is not full of deception. It's your perception of reality that if you see the whole world that way, that's the way you're going to see it. Now, I might look at the world differently. I might say, and I will say there are things on the planet that should not be that way. People that are not, they don't have food on the table. The things we did to the planet with the Hiroshima and Nagasaki, you weren't even around. I wasn't there when they bombed Hiroshima and Nagasaki with the hydrogen bomb. Okay, I grew up in the Cold War. So I know that there are things that were not good, but I also know that there is goodness in people. And not everything is a deception. It all depends on your experience. And you're only 23, so you got a long way to go before you find out the whole world is deceptive.
When I mean by deception, I do not particularly mean by people.
So what do you mean by deception?
By deception, I mean through our past and our present, is that it's not just as people, but throughout our history, there seems to be something missing. There seems to be something that is very visible right in front of us, like the truth, the answer is literally right in front of us, but somehow we, or whatever is happening, seem to have been twisted or almost corrupted or imbalanced to make it seem like even though the truth is right in front of us, there seems to be a way of us making it block it.
Well, I see what you're saying. There are people that definitely their minds block the truth. There were things where on this show, once you get used show, I bust the whole matrix. I don't care what people think.
And I don't mean just by people. I'm talking about these entities, these beings.
Well, it depends who the beings are.
Ones that can be quite deceptive too. Now, deception is not always a bad thing. Deception can also be a good term depending on how you use it.
Yeah, but the thing is, there are beings, specifically, there might be beings that are deceptive, but I would say more so, it's not so much the beings that are deceptive. If you have deceptive beings connecting with you, then they are deceptive. If you have beings that are beautiful, that want to be here to help liberate the planet, that are here for love and light, that's a whole different thing. Those beings are not being deceptive. They're tired of the other beings that are being deceptive. But we're getting on 2 a.m. in the morning, so we're going to be closing down. I'm going longer than I should have. But Lynn, I want to thank you for being on the show. It's been a pleasure having you here.
Of course. And my last parting words. The world is full of deception. Remember that.
Okay, Lynn. You have a good night.
Bye.
Okay, so let's do this here. So Lynn thinks the world is full of deception. That was an interesting interview. All right, folks. She's only 23. She'll get there. However that happened, I don't know if she felt that way when she was a kid, but, little kid, but she'll get there. She has a lot to learn. That's right, Charlotte. Lots to say, though. It was interesting, different perspectives. But the commander does what I do. So that's why the commander is what I do. If I was just a normal human being, I'd say, let's have an argument. But I'm here to listen to her, but I'm also here to help her. And the world is not full of deception. There are deceptive people in the world, but there are also very beautiful people in the world. So the world is not a world of deception. I'm not sure, somehow in her reality, in her experiences, that's what she's been getting. I was trying to kind of push about the Christ consciousness on her. Matt, thank you. So please, gift me after especially that interview. Show me some love here. I can use some gifts. Really? Anybody? Become a subscriber. We're going to do some more things. Tomorrow night's going to be contact night. I'm going to be emailing April, and we're going to do contact night. With the Ashtar Command. Tomorrow night we're going to do the Ashtar Command, and I'm going to see if we can facilitate Commander Robar, my father, on board the ship, and those on the command. I got a feeling April's going to be taken on the ship again in the next few nights. I don't know why I know that. I will keep you updated on my progress. Hey, Karen, thank you. Karen, thank you so much. Jeffrey, thank you for the gifts. We appreciate it. If you weren't able to come on the show tonight, it's like 2 a.m. here. I got to get out of here. This show will be on my YouTube channel. Go to my YouTube channel tomorrow. I'll have this show on there. Astro Command Spaceship News. Again, thank you everybody for being here. And we love y'all. That's the key thing. Remember, love and light. Love and light. Everything's changing, everything's shifting, and it's all good. YouTube channel, Ashtar Command Spaceship News. Rod, take care. Good to see you, brother. Thanks for coming on. Cecily, Mama, Tiffany, everybody, Claudia, Michelle, Abra. Thank you. I do workshops. I have to be patient. I work with the Ashtar Command. I have to be patient. I have to walk the walk and talk the talk, or else, what am I going to do? That was interesting, the last interview. That was really challenging my my consciousness in a way. And I'm hoping she'll learn from being on here, some of the things I've mentioned to her. All right. I'm going to do a little meditation before I go to sleep. Everybody have a great night. Thank you. We'll see you tomorrow night. Let people know about the show. And we'll see you later. Thank you, Michelle. Everybody have a good Friday morning. Take care.